Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to get started rocking and a rolling here in some exciting matches today. It's always exciting to cast Cosmonarchy, at least for me. That's certainly true. And I actually just finished casting Cosmonarchy, a YouTube channel upload for the 1st of December, a Monday. Start of the day, start of the week, start of the month. Can you believe that? That's how you start off your December in the right way. If you want to end your December in the right way, you can check out our merch store. We just launched that, store.cosmonarchy.com. And of course, you can just do exclamation point merch in the Twitch chat if you like. Very cool stuff to have that. It's just our logo for now, and we'll make the designs, nicer or more robust or more bombastic over time. I got loads of ideas for cool merch, especially now that we got some really nice custom models in the game. And we're talking about things like the Maverick and the Vulture, coming out swinging here from Solstice. I think once we get, we'll probably do like Hurakan Legionnaire Quasilisk or something like that for the initial unit run, because those are, in 2 out of 3 cases, those are completely new units. We could do Cyprian if we wanted a completely new unit for the Terran. But the Hurakan is just like the iconic unit, right? That's what I'm using for the logos of the races, if you will, instead of having a crest that's just kind of an arbitrary decision of what the emblem or whatever of what the race is, which is fine. Starcraft 2 did that, and a lot of other games will do that. But for now, we're just doing, unit icons, and so that's definitely
am a hero.
Definitely some cool stuff there. What's up, Drawn? Oh shit, my Twitch alert thing is way off. Here you go. Now you're on my forehead, as God intended you to be. So thank you for that. Hope you're doing well. What's the new merch? I guess I should probably show it instead of just yapping about it. That's a good idea. Not a paid actor at all there, Patrick, but I appreciate you nonetheless. Let's go to see if we can grab an example here. We'll just go ahead and do a classic full screen mode. And this is Prepare Your Flashbangs. It's a bit of a bright website, but this is our merch store, store.cosmonarchy.com. I think it should be mostly functional, actually. It's just based off of Teespring. But you can see here we got a sticker, a die-cut sticker. I don't know about these extra lines. That wasn't part of the design myself manually. You might have to snip those if you order that. But it should be good for exterior use as well as interior use. It said it's sufficient for, putting it somewhere exterior. We got a poster. We got a hoodie. We got, a shirt for men and women, including a V-neck for women, as well as just a more classic tee, if you will. I don't understand why the V-neck has to be more pricey. You'd think it would be less pricey because it's less fabric, because they cut more of it. But, that's just my brain. That's my man brain working, I guess. And, of course, we got a nice black mug. I really want one of these, actually. Maybe I'll get that for myself for Christmas. And, of course, we got a more basic mug. I do kind of wish that the handle was the same color as the exterior, but beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. We got a cool little desk mat here. And, of course, the shirt as well with the logo. So put Nebheim's face on those t-shirts. That's a good idea. We'll have to, I would need to talk with Nebheim before putting his likeness on a piece of on a piece of merchandise and profiting off of it. I think he'd probably need to take half of the profits. Speaking of, the margins aren't great. Like it's $4 or $5 or something per item. The mat is $8. I think that's the highest profit margin one as far as like what we get for it. And of course, I'm splitting those profits the same way that the coffee donations are split between me and of course Raffle Veek7. That's his name. I'm not doxing him. That's just how. That's how we were on a first name basis by now. You know what I mean? But yeah, just it's more so like we're getting a little bit sure, and it's if we sell like 1,000 merchandise pieces a month or something, that's pretty good money. But let's be real, it's here for you because it's holiday season coming up, and so you might want some. So if you, I think most people don't know people in real life yet who like Cosmonarchy, but maybe Shambler might want to buy something for Boomerman or something like that, or maybe somebody's parent. This has actually happened to me. I think it was last Christmas. Somebody reached out and said, my kid loves Cosmonarchy. Do you have any merch? Now we do. So it took me a year, but whoever that guy is, now you can do that. That was a fucking surreal moment. But yeah, what's up, Arbus? Welcome. Yeah, there's not. It wasn't intended to be like a money maker per se. It's more just Christmas is coming up, and I didn't want another year to go around where I wasn't able to deliver on that since it had been requested in previous Christmases. And besides, it's just cool. And get the ball rolling. We'll see if Teespring is actually a good provider for this sort of thing. We integrated it everywhere. It's on my Twitch channel in the panel somewhere. I think allegedly. I haven't actually checked that. And of course, we have integrations on Discord. So when somebody buys something, it'll post a message in Stellar Icon saying that they bought it, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I like that kind of shit. Yeah, the best for sure. It's weird because I didn't. Like, that's one of those things that, like, intellectually, if somebody listed off the things that you get when you have a brand, if you will, like Cosmonarchy being a brand, I would have said, yeah, I guess it makes sense for merch to be in that list of things that you have when you have a brand. But I never consciously thought that's where my shit's gonna go. You know what I mean? Physical merchandise with the logo on it. That's why this little thing with Dia, who we got here? Let me see if I can hold it the right way. So this thing right here, a little bit blurry out of focus, but it has Cosmonarchy. It has the old logo on it, Cosmonarchy, a new RTS vision. And my girlfriend also printed out magnets, which I've stuck to it, obviously, with the crown logo. So that's really cool. But the mug itself, the thermos-ish thing itself was from BiddyBee. So shout out BiddyBee. That was a Christmas present from last year. And so, like, that was really surreal because I had it in my hand. Like, what? That's a thing? You know what I mean? So that was pretty nutty. So I'm happy about that. But anyway, we do, of course, have some games to cast here. I won't spend too much more time talking about the merch in this moment. I will be shilling it throughout the stream probably. But, you know, that's a pretty good start to the shilling, I think. We're going to be going to a map called Serenity, a little map you might know, called Serenity. Shortest map distance, rush distance in the Class 1 pool, I believe, still. I think now there might be one map that give it a run for its money. I can't remember what that map is off the dome. Yeah. And we're going to be checking out some Protoss on Protoss action. I am looking forward to seeing this one. And we have some new players to profile today as well, so here we go. Prediction started over on the Twitch channel, and we are getting into the game itself. I hope you guys have a fantastic time on today's stream, because we've got Kasuga, who is in the YouTube chat. He is our black Protoss in the bottom left of Serenity, and in the top right we have Sausage, who is our eggshell blue Protoss. So, we'll see what these two can duke it out. This game was played just about an hour ago, very fresh off the presses. Serenity still has this doodad, which makes me feel like maybe they're playing on an older version somehow, but also maybe we just never updated it. I can't remember. It's been so long. Delta in the chat with a very nice comment. You even got back to modding Brood War because of me back in the days in Project Hydra. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, if you think about the trajectory, it's kind of wild, right? It's like a very nice comment. Thank you. The thing is, there's so many things that wouldn't have happened if I didn't make the decision to, like, decide after making Inconsummate. Like, Inconsummate led me to be in contact with Necron, who led me to learn more AI stuff, which led me to start building out the co-op project, which eventually turned into, from Project Hydra to Cosmonarchy, and that's why I'm here now. That's such a weird thing. Like, and of course, Inconsummate didn't exist in a vacuum. I got to that point where I was made that because I was doing all these other things that never went anywhere because I never finished them. Anyways, it's definitely a surreal sort of experience. Definitely a surreal sort of experience. Hey, thank you, Microgreen. I'm glad that you enjoyed. I actually was working once upon a time on a port to Cosmonarchy. I don't know what I think I was going to call it Inconsummate Eidolon Edition, because, you know, we renamed the Ghost and Goska's the chief, you know, principal protagonist, basically. So, yeah, at least one of them, Deuteragonist with Strawlium. But I was thinking about it. So, you know, it might happen. Dialing into the game, we got a 2-gate here for both players. Actually, a 3-gate for Sausage and a Grand Library coming up. So, we'll see how that one goes over time for sure. But Zealot going to be the scout for Kasuga, and a very late Scribe scout here for Sausage, but he should still be able to get in there and see what is going on. We do have that embassy kicking around here for Kasuga, and he's doing some good micro moves here to try to bop Sausage, but I think he's going to see the embassy. Oh yeah, he's definitely going to see that. You can see the selection circle there too, clicking on it. So he's scouted everything that's going on here. Kasuga was not making any units out of the gateway. I don't know if that particular detail has been noted, but Kasuga also given Sausage a run for his money with a really fast seedant, and instead Sausage is just committing off of the 3 gateways. We've got the 1 Zealot, and that's it. It's a 1 Zealot hero move with the Nexus starting. And look at this, that guy. Slowed by the Hierophant. He needs to just stand tall as best he can versus the onslaught of the Legionnaires. Probably should have gone a different direction to slow him down. 2 Legionnaires and a Herald. It'll take some time. The Nexus was canceled, so Kasuga in a lot of trouble already. Puts down a Warden. The Legionnaires can't do too much in the mineral line. They will be frustrated by, you know, constant drills. But there are a lot of them. That's where it can definitely get some pressure. Oh, and Kasuga, he's not doing it. Oh, he's not doing it. He's going to ball up onto his seat. Oh, man, I shouldn't have casted this game before Kasuga went to sleep. He already went to sleep. I can't believe it. Well, the Scribes are starting to fight. The Herald comes out to give them shield restore. That makes the Legionnaires a lot harder to secure the kill. One more will still go down. We got a deficit of 6 here for our man from Taiwan. Sausage, hailing from Peru. Still making things happen there, but it is a little bit of a problem now for the South American, the Latin American. He's got more Legionnaires where that came from, and of course his Hierophants will excar without any damage, so there is that at the very least. But that was a lot of damage, and sure, the embassy exists, but you can tell Sausage is getting ready to go for an expansion here. The timing is not going to favor Kasuga for a worker comeback, though Sausage is not making workers right now. He's giving him an opportunity. Kasuga choosing to make a witness instead of artisans, that he wants to see about spying what his enemy's next move is going to be. This actually reminds me, a Warden going down here for Sausage. Kasuga's really good at building a lot of witnesses. He doesn't always watch them, but he always has pretty good map knowledge, like map vision or whatever. It's just a question of does he actually look at what his opponent is doing with that, you know what I mean? But he'll at least know where your army is almost all the time. That's like a strength of his for sure. Why is Kasuga fighting Kasuga? Oh, did I put the overlay wrong? I did. I meant to put Sausage in the first list there. Kasuga hasn't been doing much gaming. Kasuga has to face himself as a nemesis. Thank you for pointing that out, Jackie Linsky. The only one who can handle Kasuga is Kasuga. I wonder if we're pronouncing his name correctly. This whole time it could have been meant to be like Kasuga. A little bit of a delay between Su and Ga. Or it could be Kasuga, which sounds like a... That sounds like an old European... oh no. The fate of all frauds destroyed by a bulwark. It sounds like a Skyrim spell. Kasuga! You know what I mean? That's pretty good. Somebody write that down. Todd Howard, write that down. Elder Scrolls 6 can have Kasuga. Oh shit! There you go. I just forgot to hit enter. Thanks, Villius. Hope you're doing well. I feel like right about now with Artisans coming out, Kasuga might be able to mount some kind of a something. He is harvesting the minerals as opposed to the Vespene, which could leapfrog him into a fast Nexus follow-up and see what else he can do. But you do have to spend money to make money with the Artisans. So, like, without the, he's going to catch up in terms of, like, not having the Nexus at all. And there is no embassy here for Sausage, so he can't, you know, keep pace with 2 embassy Nexus. And we will have that 3rd Nexus coming up soon as well for Kasuga. Interesting that Sausage got all that early damage, made all that early pressure happen, and then didn't really continue after the fact, right? Grand Library Army is going to really help keep Sausage at bay, but it does feel like we're missing something here. Like Sausage could have been more on the offensive or, you know, threatening and bleeding a little bit more. What? Why? What are you doing? Stop that. Bad dog. I'm gonna get my dog anxiety by casting. Well, I think right about now we can be pretty convinced that Sausage will hold the attack. He's making an Ardent Authority back in the main base. A Cantava Storm would go pretty hard here, and I think Kasuga knows that. That's why he's making the Cantavus. 2nd Grand Library, 3rd Grand Library, okay. And that Nexus number 2 on the way. I can't believe Kasuga's now got, like, soft containment power. You know what I mean? Like, Sausage can try to break out if he wants to, but is it going to work? I don't know. I do not know. Guys, I will never make a body pillow. Don't even say it as a... It's bad. Bad dog. Get a girlfriend. I shouldn't say that to my dog, but you know. Although body pillows themselves are actually pretty comfortable. Like, so I'm told. Wink. But, body pillows with fucking people on them is just creepy to me. I can't handle it. Zora used popcorn bucket. That would be good. I would take that for sure. Yeah, practical merch that's more custom made than what Teespring offers is definitely something I would dig. Cantavis is here. Don't let him face tank all the enemy attackers, please. Yes, Smarty, this match was played today. Welcome to the stream. Ahmed Flamethrower. Let me talk to Elon Musk about that, I guess. Not an Ahmed Flamethrower. That's what it would have to be called. The Micken Melter. Well, Seedent immediately for Kasuga on his natural, and he's got Artisans churning away at that back base, something that Sausage has neglected to scale towards. Instead, he's going for that Tier 3 Unitary Union. We don't have the biggest military production here for Kasuga, but, I mean, Witness on the Extremis, he sees all these wardens. Why? What's up with the static defense? Did Sausage get Giga dropped or something? He's got 1,800 minerals. He's got 900 Vespine. Okay, saving up for the Ancestral, I guess, but he could have been making Zealots and Gateways. Confusing. Confusing. So he will be presumably going up Tecton here to try to clear away the chaff. I feel like it's not as good versus Protoss units, though. You put Protoss on people. Protoss, not people, on body pillow. No. I am not putting alien body pillow. That sounds worse. That's when you get the real wackos. I think branded body pillows are probably just a no. I think that Witness got deep enough to scout the Ancestral, but does he know? Right? That's the question. Did he click on it? Prostration stage. Tier 3 for Kasuga. Still behind a tier. Behind the 8-ball. Ancestral Archives will be done sooner. We also have Yunar out. I feel like with a couple of Unars, we'd be in really good shape here for Sausage to just sort of slowly break out. He's already kind of doing that by pushing out a little bit further forward here. Atreus is out for Kasuga. Solarian on the way. I missed the Argosy. Cantor's definitely going to get some good damage, but look at that storm. Oh, look at that, baby. Looks like the Cantavis may have... No, it's still going, actually. There's the Cantavis. I feel like with the Tecton coming out, the Unars, there should be a handy-dandy breakout here. I love that he's still fighting with this Witness. That's so cute. The Cantor's on the way for crowd control. He isn't making any more Unars. That feels like a mistake. Can we do an Tecton space check? Tecton will wrap around, you know, come down here. Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm pretty sure pylons are still walkoverable. I know they're walkoverable by Penumbra, so that's pretty good. Tectons can just ignore those. First Solarian entering the fray soon. Wild merch comments, wild merch ideas. Okay, he's loading up Legionnaires and Scribes and an Ecclesiast. Where is he going with that? Oh, he's going to break this Biotic Bastion. But a base number 4 is already on the way, counting this as... I guess this is like a half base, but... Something about Sausage's gameplay here feels fraudulent and slow. I don't know what's going on with him. He's taking this game very easy. Got up to his advantage. Doesn't he know that most of his ranked wins in tournament play were like, you know, his ranked win against Aoud was when Aoud got too complacent and didn't finish him off, and then all of a sudden... I don't know, man. Spreading out those pylons a little bit more. And we will have the Envoy come in with an Acantor drop down to the bottom right. Not immediately acted upon just yet. What is Kasuga's army? Is it just Solarian? It's a Solarian Gateway Grand Library army. That's what it is. And he is making another Solarian, as well as a Pariah. Well, this is a pretty scary artillery blob here, but not much on the front line department, just Zealots. There's a Storm. Good Storm, getting it going. A couple more. Spreading across. It's softening them up, so allowing those Amaranths and Zealots to crash upon them. We even see a Sycophant, rare Sycophant, trying to run down and see what he can do. Solarian's coming out as well to start to pick off individual targets, and you need to keep all the Unars alive here to bring those down, but one of them is being tailed down, and down it goes. So that's a little bit of a problem now for Sausage as he retreats back to his static defense. I mean, they're all clumped up now. Wow, that's a Storm. These have been really good Storms by Kasuga. Second up Tecton, as well as a Unar on the high ground. Gonna turn this around. Solarians still struggling a little bit here to finish the job, but we got reinforcements coming in. A Charlatan as well, and that up Tecton, he should have been jumped on there. What's up with Kasuga? He didn't want to take that up Tecton. Well, I guess he's got to get re-aggroed anyway. Goodbye. Blown to pieces. This Acantor still hasn't been noticed, or... Yeah, the Envoy is just empty down there. Sausage hasn't noticed it. I don't think I'm ever implementing a unit that can walk through Cliffs Villiers. Ah, poor Vagrant. The rallies have not quite been corrected here. Kasuga still fires back and kills a couple of things. Finally, that Witness dies! That pesky Witness hunted him for half the game. Hey, what's going on, Cranking Down? You just watched a Charlatan walk past the Unar and get absolutely domed. This Solarian is considering options. Oh! Oh, it finally did unload, and then a Pariah came by, and the Engram finished it off. Amazing. Impressive, truly. Wait, Kasuga's winning? Oh my god, look at his artisan count. Dude, Kasuga's owning. He lost 8 workers or something at the beginning of the game. How is this happening? How has Sausage allowed this to occur? Well, at least the Solarian will be bopped. Kasuga just kind of lingering a bunch of units around. Check out his Cantavis. Ah, jeez. Is that his? That must be his. There's no Cantavis on the other side. Sausage is busy all the way over here. Man, what a mess. Players having to struggle some time of it on the micro. 2,000 minerals for Kasuga. He'll try to spend some of that down at some point, I'm sure. He's not even looking at the army, and it's such a bizarre, strange fight. What is happening? Why is the Unar all the way over here? Maybe the replay didn't work properly. I don't know. The Envoy's going back home. Yeah, I guess the replay just didn't quite sit so well at the end of the day, huh? Oh yeah, that 100%. But still, even before that though, there were some really funny decisions. Like that Acantor didn't. Whoa! I never saw that before. That Acantor didn't unload for like a solid 2 minutes. It was pretty good. Well, it's on Replay Kraken, so I just download it and take the risk, pretty much. It doesn't auto-validate yet. Well, boys, we'll speed it up a little bit, I suppose. Oh, so it's my fault? No. Well, actually, there was a screenshot from Kasuga. There's a screenshot from Kasuga that I'm pretty sure was of this game, right? I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, you need to I guess we need your copy of the replay to see what happened. It only gives me the losers. For now. That's a bug for now. So DM me your copy or something. We'll fast forward to that point. It's okay, guys. This just gives me more time to talk about merch. Exclamation point merch. If it still breaks again when it's Kasuga's version, then it's probably a config thing. Which is actually a good thing to have a use case for testing. Maybe Kasuga's already in bed and can't send it to us. I will upload it after a week. All right, we'll see you next week, brother. That's funny. I'll go look for another game in the meanwhile. Actual Cosmonarchy crowns. Pretty good idea. A very good idea. All right, I want to cast a player who I have not casted in a little while here. Can you guess who that might be? I'll give you a hint. He's the Terran. I just casted a game with Stasis in it for YouTube, so... Fraud! By the way, spoiler, Kasuga won that game. Ahmed is our mascot, Space. Always Ahmed. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new player taking on Shopkeeper Dog, and I want to see how good they are. They've only ever played with like Jack Yelansky and some of the guys that are up at weird hours. They might come from Korea for all I know. They have that trademark typing style. And we're going to be seeing how they share a sort of map here, a Demaloon, a classic map. Map that Shopkeeper Dog loves because of the minerals. It is going to be Demaloon, a map by Jujik Port of Overwatch. Dog down here in the bottom right is our green Terran going for a Fulcrum opener. And in the top left we have Baluansu. Baluan. 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 Balloon. He's going 2-gate. He's glacial. No, it's Alice Blue. Fuck. I knew it as soon as I said glacial. So, Jack Yelansky is very familiar with this person. I thought Ball was playing... I was pretty sure that Ball was playing Terran for a while, judging by replay Kraken, but apparently they switched to Protoss, so that's interesting. And Dog's going to scout 2-gate Embassy and wonder what's going on, so he goes for a Ministry after the first Fulcrum, and we have the new Vulture! Deploy the new Vulture. What is it? Control F? Shift F? Alt F? Alt F? Shift F? I don't remember the hotkey to follow a unit anymore. Solstice, not Solstice. SG, ZZZ told me about it. Reminded me of what it was. Probably in here though. We got a options? No. Help? Keystroke help? Center on current unit. Control C. You hold it? Is that what it's supposed to be? Alright, anyway. Doesn't matter. We're gonna need Ahmed fan art so it's more official. Ahmed fan art is pretty cool. Pretty cool idea. I agree with Ahmed fan art. Alright, anyway, now that I'm done screwing around with the camera settings, Ball has got a couple of Dracodons, and he's making Artisans already. The Vultures are going to take some map control up there. Sort of landmines and figuring things out. Ministry up already for Shopkeeper Dog, and he should be able to start taking a bit of a worker advantage here. But Ball is going to go ahead and put down a Nexus. This is a pretty greedy build from both sides, I suppose, but I feel like this kind of, like, obviously, Shopkeeper Dog, massive favorite, Class 1 player, has played so many games against Protoss players, against just, you know, so many games of Cosmonarchy, all that stuff. APM clearly higher as well. You know, he's in the zone. He's dialed in these days. He's a top prospect. If you told me one player gets out, you know, like bet on a particular player to make it out of the Tribunal stage, I would say Shopkeeper Dog. I don't even need to see the bracket. He's the favorite. A chance for Newt, but if he meets Shopkeeper Dog's better at TBT. Shopkeeper Dog wins. So it's just the way it is. So anyway, we do have Shopkeeper Dog as the favorite. However, I would say that in a vacuum, looking at these builds, I think this is a little bit of a favor for Bull. You know, 2 Folk into, or 1 Folk expand into 2 more Folk follow up with no add-on yet. And he's got the ability to get gas from the Artisans. He's got the 2 gates for safety. He's already kept his gas ridge in the main base, and he's putting down an Nexus here at a reasonable timing to keep pace with his opponent. So we should end up seeing him take a slight worker lead in the next minute or so, next few minutes. Vultures are canvassing the map looking for anything that they can find. And there's a lot of Vultures actually being produced here by Shoppy Dog. This is a little bit of a... I think he's going to be saving Vespene for Atlas, and he's just going to be pretty heavily focusing on the Vulture side. The Dracodon's already expecting a Trojan, some other drop or air tactic, but there's nothing of the sort coming. And I do like this little SimCity setup with the gateway, making more Dracodons, Warden behind it. He's got... Ball's got pretty good situations here, actually. I like his setup. I like the cut of his jib. He doesn't remind me of any other player right now. Like, if you told me that this is an existing Cosmonarch, I'd be like, I don't know. did like Calypso or Passarino come back or something? I don't know. Like, who is this? That doesn't remind me of any active players, but Shopkeeper Dog going for that Atlas, and Double Ardent Authority coming up afterwards. So it doesn't have the APM and the macro timing just yet of like an Oya, but Oya's the only other person I've seen who actually does SimCity stuff, right? As Protoss. So like Oya and Aud are both like more robust with their like mechanics, right? And their habits, if you will. So those are like stylistically, those are the people that I would say, oh yeah, maybe that's them. Artisans gathering the Vespene in the top right. 9 o'clock, also an option. I love the mine placement by the nodes so that we can have some kind of response to that. And all the Vultures make it kind of scary to move out with Dracodons. They would lose the head-to-head, and then, you know, Paul would be in a tough situation. But he's going to go for Double Ardent and start a Witness out of his embassy now that his nodes in the top right are saturated for those extra Vespene gas income. Ministry number 3 on the way for Shopdog, about halfway complete. It will finish after his Atlas does. And he's just laying more mines. And it's a very low action game right now. Very low activity game in terms of like low interaction, right? Not a lot of fighting just yet. Not a lot of clickety. But down goes the Atlas. So, what happens now? Okay, Captaincy. Interested in seeing what Shopdog does with the Tier 2 bio. Is he going to go for the Tinker's Tower, Siren Striga sort of comp? Is he going to stick with Apostles and ignore Autocrat like he kept typing about? Everything Shopkeeper Dog types is basically fraudulent. You can ignore most of it. He's poisoned the well too many times now, and so it's like Boy Who Cried Wolf. Oh, look at that. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why the mine tried to unburrow. Maybe, you know what it was? Is it probably overlapped with the geyser, and then it was like, hey, you can't burrow there. That's a bug we can probably fix easily enough. The Vultures are going to come up here top right and see all of these Artisans harvesting here. Yeah, crank it down. We got a new Vulture model. Very cool. Ball's like, oh, wait. And then he's like, oh, never mind. Doesn't matter. Ministry flying over to 3 o'clock for the third base. Ball is from Hong Kong. Well, thank you for telling me, Jack. Didn't know that. Very cool that we get a Hong Kong player. I hope he signs up for the tournaments. Yeah, we also have a new Maverick, but that probably won't show up in this game. You might see it in another. 2 starports coming down in behind this. We have the Tinkerer's Tower and another captaincy. Haven't actually made any tier 2 units just yet by the looks of things. I'm checking the rallies and stuff. 1 Goliath sent up over here. Chopdog doesn't like to make a Goliath, but he will. And it looks like we are going to have the Rotary coming down as the starport add-on, so we'll see some Sundogs, most likely. Acantors pushing forth there. The Crucible empowering the 2 Arden authorities is very nice, and setting up for the Argosy. Okay, already scaling up the tech tree. Ball apparently knows his stuff. He's played for maybe a week, so it's pretty interesting to see that. And it looks like the Artisans will be fleeing that location to saturate the ridge over here instead, probably. Or actually, he's just going to kind of push them off some direction. The Witness can move forward to clear the mines, at least. Some Idle Mason, or Scribes here. Be a little bit better there. Double Argosy, though. That's going to be a somewhat scary prospect. Sundogs are going to be pretty important there. And indeed, 2 of them are on the way. With Sirens, but no rally point. Poor dog forgot about that. 6 o'clock going to be his domain next. And Artisans are arriving in the bottom left, cutely enough. There are some mines there, and the Goliath chasing that one off 12 o'clock. So these 2 go back to harvesting the gas here. That's really good. Goliath has also been adjusted in terms of its rendering, so you'll notice it more closely matches the coloration of the StarCraft 1 Goliath. But obviously it's not black. It's not jet black like the original. It's just a little bit grittier. That's pretty good. Poor Artisan. Got bopped. Only 2 Sundogs so far. They got a pretty nice facelift, but they are cloaked all the time, so it's hard to tell. When they're decloaked and fighting, maybe we'll get a scant glimpse of them. A lot of mines over here that need to be cleared. Ball hasn't really been taking map control, and relying on Artisans for the extra income is fine, but when they get shut down and you're stuck on 2 base income with a little bit extra Vespine to your name, it doesn't feel quite as good as it could. Mine coverage is gone at 12 o'clock, and it is still revealing the stuff down here in the bottom left. I'm noticing that this lobotomy mine also has that same, like, colliding with gas bug or whatever. Colliding with structure bug. Glad that I'm noticing that. That's an easy fix. Just to whitelist them. And the Acantors are going to absolutely mulch these vultures. That second salvo did go awry. The third salvo not good either. And so picking 2 Acantors for all those vultures, I mean, I won't call it good for Dog, but it's not as bad as you might initially think, because the bulk of his army is going to be the, Strigas and the Sirens, and Acantors can deal with that if they're in enough number. So this actually should be a pretty spooky army for Shopdog to go up against. Sirens will help try to deal with the Solarians. Solarians are really weak to Striga, actually, and Siren just makes it a more of a lock-in. Plus you have the presence of the Sundog, and so there's a lot there to think about, for sure. So still got 6 Acantors. Still, it's Solarian Acantor. That's going to be the composition here with some Dracodons on the front line. We'll see how far Ball can take it. Obviously he has a Witness. He wants to set up 12 o'clock as a proper base. The Sundog's now going to swoop over, see what they can do. And there will be a little bit of an early warning system on behalf of these Artisans or the Scribes themselves. Rare moment to actually see what the Sundogs look like before the cloak kicks in. And now the Solarians need to pivot over there very quickly, because now his tech is going to be under duress. Snipe the Crucible, very, very good target early on. Depowers the Argosies, and obviously stops the enchantment of everything else. There's a Warden down here to do a little bit of pot shotting, but it too can be destroyed. So it doesn't even get a kill onto any of the Sundogs, and he's even going to be able to pop the Aquifer on the way out. Shopdog knows the strength of a couple Sundogs, so very good stuff there. Scribe off to the side, maybe was intending to take the 9 o'clock. And what's the crisis management look like for Ball? He hasn't restarted the Crucible yet, despite having the resources to. Ends up restarting the Warden there, but nothing else for more defense. And yeah, I would put down a Pylon to more immediately repower these, and then also get the Crucible redone, but doesn't look like he wants to do the Pylon part, so he will wait the full, 40 seconds or however long it takes a Crucible to make. Most of the graphical updates, since I see people talking about them in chat, are just rendering settings, but the Sundog did get mesh edits a little bit, so it's a little bit of a different story. Going to go after this Argosy now, and there's nothing in position to deal with it, so could very well get sniped. Now here comes the Witnesses to reveal the Cloaked Sundogs, and of course the presence of the Solarians and the Dracodons, but somehow, some way, he doesn't quite pull the trigger on the attack, and so, yeah, they get away with it. Definitely some kind of bullying going on right now. But the big ground army is starting to move across the map, and the Sundogs are only going to keep pushing and pulling Ball. Still, these are some pretty good connections onto the initial bout. You want to avoid this bio army with your air units. That's what you want to avoid here for Ball. You do not want to get pulled in to the Striga stack. And now the Acantor is going to get the jump on all of these poor bio units just getting annihilated by the Acantors. And not a single Solarian going down. It's actually a huge whiff, it feels like, from Shopkeeper Dog. Wasn't expecting that, that's for sure. Oh, now you might be able to get away with one at the way out. Got a couple of Madcaps that have seen some adjustments as well, visually, and yeah, down it goes. One Solarian after all of that. So still got 5 Solarians, 4 Acantors, 2 more popping down. Argosy being rebuilt, Crucible rebuilt, Pylon as well for redundancy, although I think it's too far to power the leftmost Argosy. And we got a lot more Sundogs where that came from. So even though he's got 8 more, he lost pretty much everything. So many mines, but so little actual military units here for Shopkeeper Dog as he gaps both the gases in his natural. And might have to start thinking about another base here soon. Sundog's now pivoting over. They snipe a scribe that was earmarked for 12 o'clock. Despite the military victory that Ball has achieved, you can't say a thing about his chances in this game just yet. He hasn't been able to, fend off the presence of the Sundogs. Even one engram isn't going to be quite enough either. He's going to put down some Wardens, but he'll soon find that that's not super sufficient. He could leave one Witness here, I suppose, to help deal with the Sundogs a little bit ahead of time. I think like 2 engrams and a Witness will probably deal with it, but that's a pretty big investment. Not that Ball can't afford it, but he does not have a 3rd mining base yet, and so as a result, his lifeline is probably just those artisans, and even then I feel like it's a little bit faulty. The gateways are going to go down here, and once again, Ball's going to make the slow trek back into his base, with the Acantors blocking him in the process. Chopdog just kind of seeing what the sort of ancillary response time is from Ball, and meanwhile sending some units down here to clear out the artisans. Pulled to death. That's a lot of Striga. It didn't really work out the first time. They were all balled up and got annihilated by Acantors. Oh, this is going to be danger. Danger, danger. I saw a steward with fire on it still, and I have a feeling that the timers from the polyod adhesive of the Strigo didn't tick down while the steward was inside the cargo hold. That's really funny if that's the case. Unless they fought one that I don't see the corpse of here, but that's my only thought there. Sundog's going back in for another round. They'll snipe the Acantors. That's going to be huge. This is why you shouldn't have been bringing them with your whole army the whole time. You can see him. He's actually walking them towards death and trading 1 Sundog for 3 Acantors. Very happy bio army now. And a couple of leftover vultures for good measure, I suppose. They're mostly bio, if you think about it. Yeah, they got a pilot out there in the open. Strigas are balled up quite nicely. And so this is going to be pretty hard for the Solarians to chew through, but eventually they might be able to. But here come the Sundogs, and the focus fire isn't quite there. Only now is the ground army being engaged by what Ball has, and now the Strigas are starting to pull all of those Solarians forward, and the reclamation has begun. Those are my Solarians now, says Shopkeeper Dog. And despite a ridiculous bank for both players at the end of the game, the Ancestral Archives, it completed, but GG well played has to be called as Ancestral is done. There's no Uptecton here. Shopkeeper Dog finishes it off. Well, that's about wrapping up there for our debut, our homie. I love that Shopkeeper Dog, gave him a nice slow game. And we saw an interesting set of choices in the early stages of the game. Although I do think, it's entirely possible that he could end up being a pretty solid guy. I do just want to point out that on Replay Kraken, it shows you your APM across the whole match. Shop Dog, just under 300. Ball on 147. So they basically have, like, he's got half the APM of the Terran player, which is quintessential Protoss. All that's missing is reporting that Ball won that game, and then that would have been perfect Protoss versus Terran. No. Yeah, a big problem there for Ball is that his Cantors were always with his army, and they're moving back and forth. But honestly, you can criticize the individual micro decisions that were made around that area. You can talk about how that maybe should have been done differently. Really, the biggest issue is he never had a third base. He never got it running. He didn't punish the greed from the other side by greeding into something that had a good timing attack or anything. There was room for that, but he probably just doesn't have the... I'm guessing he's a new player, right? He doesn't have all that sense. For a new player, pretty impressive to stay alive that long, even though Dog was giving him some extra time anyway. But obviously had some opportunity to maybe do some counterattacks here and there that just didn't work out because he was befuddled by the Sun Dogs. So that's that. That's the end of that story. Let's see, do we have any other cool matches here to cast? I think so. I do believe we do. There's a funny game between Kutyam and Ultra. And so I would like to cast that with you all today on stream. And if it's really banger, then you know what's up. My only concern is I don't actually know what the version of the game is. I guess I'll have to scroll down until I find it in Replay Kraken. It was on the 26th of November, and you guys play so much Cosmonarchy, which I love. So we're going to take a moment to navigate there. Let's see. No, those are... I scrolled down like half the page, and I'm on the 27th still, so that's pretty good. Okay, there was a game on Near Impact, so I guess we'll see if that is where we are supposed to be going. Trying to remember if I've casted Ultra 7. I think I've only casted Marsupial. Odorless, Marsupial, Kutyam, those are like the newer players I've casted recently. And now Ball. But I don't think Ultra 7 I've casted a match of his, so I'm excited to take a look at that. Looks like our game version is what I predicted it would be, but it's good to be more certain. So this version of the game does actually have the modified Maverick, and I believe this is a TVZ, so we should be able to see that new model, which is cool, obviously. Now let's go ahead and grab Replay and put it in here, and see what... Okay. Yep, it looks like this is indeed... Oh, Ultra 7 is playing Terran, so never mind. I thought this would have been a different... Oh, there's two different matches here. There's a Near Impact game where Ultra 7 was playing as Protoss, by the looks of it. So I don't know. Maybe we won't see the new Maverick. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're getting into it, so I will go ahead and wrangle our match overlay here. We'll stick with the Terrans for the time being. Just because I haven't seen Ultra 7 play, I'm going to seed him as the lower seed, like the underdog in this matchup, and we're going to give Kutyam the grace of calling him the favorite. Let's see what happens. Okay, homies. Kutyam Supin versus Ultra 7. The prediction live on our Twitch channel if you guys want to bet on who wins this game. Using fake currency that only Twitch has. Ultra 7 in the bottom right is our slow-starting Japanese Violet Terran. And in the top left... Oh, maybe slow-starting is the wrong word. He's actually going to go for a very fast stockade. And Kutyam is in the top left as our White Terran. Hailing from Hungary. And Ultra 7... I actually don't know. He might be from America, weirdly enough. I think he might be from West Coast. I haven't asked him. His English is pretty good, so... Wherever he's from, he knows good English. Knows well English. The classic. So let's see what we end up getting out of the stockade. That does increase our odds of seeing the new Maverick model. And oh, Kutiam trying to see if he can cheese a man a little bit. Okay. All right. I don't know. Looking forward to... oh, it's Harakans. Okay, not immediate, but I think Harakans did get the touch-up already. So we'll get to see their touch-up graphic. Yeah! They're a little bit grittier, a little bit ready to go. Ready to rock. Looking more like a StarCraft 1 asset there, I think. Jack says, recalling silly business here. Well, you might be right. Fulcrum at the ramp. Ah, the lift! Beautiful. Technically could have been one hex over. Hex is not the right word for this game, but that's all right. Cyprians. 2 Harakans and a Cyprian on them. Yeah, very many units were touched up, and the new Vultures coming. We'll at least see that again. We got a Cyprian, which is also a little bit of a, darker, grittier StarCraft 1 art style at play. Let's see. Anchor. Okay, he's going to put the Vultures... No, Cyclops in the Anchor. I love that, and the Vulture can lay mines. I see the vision. But we do have the Vulture coming back at home. It's just too late to actually help the Harakans. Oh boy, this could be a bloodbath. If the Harakans do feel like setting things on fire, which of course they do. Ahmed loves flames. Oh dear. Vulture almost done. Trying to drill onto him. Not quite working out. No action at the other side of the map. So many Masons going down. And it's going to take a long time for one Vulture to clear this out. Ahmed is God, says Jack Alensky, who is observing. Well, I guess he was trying to predict what I would say when I casted this game, but oh my god, every single Mason dying? Here comes the opportunity for counter damage. The Cyclops, that also received a nice little visual update, is doing its best as well. And oh my god, we're actually... Oh, the mines catch the Cyprians! Meanwhile, it looks like the Harakans have finally been cleared out. 3 workers remain for Kutiam, but there's opportunity for Ultra 7 to have less. Oh my god, the Cyprians, they're going to try their hardest. But one of them isn't even fighting the good fight. Finally, he'll try to queue it up, and the Anchor will go down, but the Cyprians, the Cyclops, they're... Dude, no way. 3 Masons to 4. Okay, all right. Oh, losing the last couple, though. This is big. Ultra 7 has a lot more income, or a lot more bank, queued up, but he really needs to get back to harvesting resources. Oh my god, no. No, don't tell me. Oh, if he went after those Cyprians, he actually could have just ended the game, I feel like. As it stands, he's going to basically clear everything, and the new Maverick will finally be shown under a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure to impress us. Let's see what they can make happen. A little bit of a wall going on, no Anchor present, and the Fulcrum's still in the base. Kutiam can't quite see it. And I don't know. I'm still waiting on it. 1 idle Mason in the main base is gutting, but it's 6 Masons to 2. Ah, jeez. Ah, dear. No! Maverick, no! Ah, he's owned. Well, it was nice while it lasted, but I think that might be game. Especially since the Vultures sneak past the wall. I liked the idea, but GG, yeah, that's... what a match, honestly. Unbelievable. Wild scenes, always. Well, you guys are probably remembering the old Madcap, but they're pretty different now.
Staying put. Quick march. Standing by. Outstanding.
That's one of the reasons why the Madcap was adjusted, was because otherwise we would have too similar of a silhouette and too similar of an at a glance. So the Maverick has a lot more bulk to it compared to the Madcap, which is taller and slender.
Commander, standing strong. Don't blink. Staying put.
Well, we can always agree to disagree, Crankin. But it's pretty easy for me to tell the difference. Are they canonically taller people? Well, they're all canonically genetically engineered, so sure. Or it could be that the power armor is bigger. But the point of tier 2 infantry is to be a little bit more slender to indicate the level of technical advancement. So like the Heracles will look a lot more like power armor than it will look like a mech when it gets a model. So like as you get more advanced in the Terran sort of infantry department, if you will, the branch, you're gonna see less bulk, not more, and then the mech is gonna be what you see like more bulk to, if that makes sense. The slender it is while still having more durability is an obvious indication that they're using more advanced materials, right? Well, I just answered that question. Tall Reclaimer guy's getting a new model. You're talking about Apostles. Probably when Solstice feels like it would be the answer. The not tall Reclaimer, which is the Autocrat, should get a new model soon as well, but that one doesn't have a model at all right now. Okay, so let's see what other games we can take a look at here. That one was funny. That one was... I did that earlier. Delete these. Well, I have no idea how to pronounce that name. Let me see if I will get any hints. Apparently, the username translates roughly to Count Sorochansky. Well, Count, the answer is that most of the Zerg armies outnumber the other races. So while Zerg might look like they have less units and they're more powerful, they still outnumber the Terrans and the Protoss in pretty much every game. There's very few... It used to be a little bit less so now than it is now. It used to be that they would have more even army sizes in the early to mid game, and they would only get bigger later. But I have actually made changes that make them more swarming in the early stages of the game. So... That's just wrong, Jack. Look at any of the... Look at any of it. Look at any of the more recent games. You spam out way more units. You have Zerg is the only race that consistently has a bigger army than they have a worker count, and that's much more so now than it used to be. So there's always a little bit of a lag time before people start to see a bit more of what's going on there, I think, but because they're remembering like older stuff. Of course, always buffing Zerg's drawn. Oh, there's a new Ben in town. Ultra cores go at T1, of course, army size will be small. Yeah, I don't actually think that... Funnily enough, Krankendow, and this just happens to work out, or maybe it's all part of a grand plan, but doesn't it feel like that loses you more Zerg games to go like fast, consolidated power a lot of the time at the top level? I think at the top level, you actually need to be swarmy in order to be successful, which is interesting. I like that. It's like you're playing Zerg wrong if you're making small numbers of units. You need to make many numbers of units. I don't know. I'm glad that we're arriving. Also, I don't really agree with the characterization of any of the units that Zerg has as humanoid at tier 1 at least. The Azira Core used to be, but I can't think of any tier 1 unit that's humanoid. Maybe that you could argue the Quasilisk is, but that's not a big one. So I'm trying to remember the original critique of the Zerg theoretically losing identity. I don't see any big humanoid monsters, to be honest. Right, yeah. And like the Apex strain stuff, I can see the Tetzora Core being deemed improper. Oh, the Bactylisk. I could see the Bactylisk is a little humanoid. But yeah, for the most part, like those are units that need replacement models. So not to say don't judge Cosmonarchy on the placeholders that it has, just to say that those are on our list. We are going to change those. So like the Bactylisk should have a bulkier tail or something that feels like it slows it down, but maybe during its attack animation it can kind of like impale into the ground and then fire the shot, so it's like stabilizing to give it more range. You know, there's like visual storytelling you can do with that. That will make it feel a lot more Zergy by definition. So we stand crab. The Kagralisk isn't super serpentine. I would love for it to be a little bit more so. But you know, like, do we have any? I don't think we have any models for Zerg for tier 2. Yeah, not a single tier 2 thing has been modeled. The only Zerg units that have models are tier 1 ones, right? It's the because there's nothing in tier 3 that's been modeled, right? Yeah, nothing. So yeah, that's something that also needs to be like visually buffed, if you will. Kind of, Jack. It's just a lot harder to make Zerg units model-wise. They're more demanding. Organics are always going to take more time, but on top of that, you have the problem of when you make a Zerg unit, you need to make a burrow animation, and you need to make a mutation or hatching animation. Well, you need to make a birth animation for sure, and you might need to make a mutation animation where it turns into an egg. And so there's a lot more going on with any given Zerg unit than like they have a bloody death animation that takes extra time, whereas like mech units can just have an explosion and leave behind a corpse. So we can be a bit lazier with it, at least in the initial pass. Like just to have a baseline first draft version of a fully functional Zerg graphic, you need a lot of extra animation steps, and they're a fully organic thing, so it will take more time. So. The Mortothra Core? It's a StarCraft 2 model port, but I guess Solstice did do a lot of remeshing, so you might call that official. I don't have any aspirations to change it anytime soon, that's for sure. Yeah, everything that's a unit graphic or a structure ought to be a 3D model, and it originated as a 3D model, even if they were rendered into the original StarCraft game or some other RTS game that has given us permission to use their stuff, like Five Nations. They all started off as 3D models, and they were rendered into sprite sheets. Projectiles were all done that way as well. I don't think anything was hand-drawn for projectiles. Maybe there's some, like, there might be some technically that were, but I'm pretty sure they were all rendered. As far as, like, where 2D stuff can come into play, we are looking for consoles. So if that's what we call the UI. So if we pop into a match here real quick, I will once again disable my castover overlay, and I'll show you. The Protoss console here is an example, right? So we want consoles for each faction that are going to be different. And while we could just do recolors, it would be cool if they were more than that. It's possible that these were also rendered, by the way, as opposed to drawn. That is entirely possible. But you can hand draw a console, right? If we restart the mission a few times, you'll see that. Now there's the Zerg UI, right? So stuff like that is going to be pretty big. Technically, we don't have a 2D art icon for the Ascosi supply icon, so and the Ascosi gas, which is probably going to be a modeled icon or something. Like we'll render out an Ascosi gas tank, gas cube or whatever, and then have that an icon up there for it. But like the supply icon is something that needs to be done. So there's a couple of places where 2D art can come into handy. Even just making stuff for factions or making the Ascosi console would be pretty helpful. But definitely something that, like that's basically the limits of where 2D can be of a system. Yeah, AOT, the death animation is a little bit bloodier. Yeah, in my current local build of the game, we are testing a Mason remodel, but it's not done yet, so I will not show it off in too much glory. The UI looks like shaded renders with only a few elements. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me as well. Artist seems to be working overtime. Yeah. Adam talking about Zerg in a nice way. I think it's I didn't want to like yell at, I'm not trying to like disregard Count's potential criticism, right? There is a chance that people can make bigger units but less of them as Zerg, and thus it feels less Zergy. But I mean I think to the degree that like you almost always need a surround on an enemy army, which naturally predisposes you to wanting more numbers of units, and you can make more numbers of your units with less resources than before. Like these all tell me that the race is going in the direction of being more swarmy. And when we observed Zerg victories in even the last tournament cycle, a lot of it was based on really good surround plays on the army move out. And yeah, even when they went like heavy Zorkiz armies like Zoryus, Lakiz with some other follow-up with other units, a lot of that was based around like they still ended up outnumbering their opponent a lot of the time. No, I'm not saying you can't throw shade or be concerned about things. It just doesn't seem like that's true. When I watch the games, I don't get the impression that the Zerg are outnumbered by an opposing force, but have better firepower or more powerful units, which would be like more of a Protoss archetype or like a Terran mech archetype. Terran Bio can compete in the early stages of the game, but it gets pretty easy to mulch through that with certain selections by Zerg, and after like one or two fights and the stabilization of the mid game, Zerg goes back to having way more units. So, you know, maybe you can argue that Terran shouldn't be able to do that little outnumbering thing in the early stages of the game or something from a thematic standpoint, but I think that's going to naturally settle in. Also, the thematics are not really what I care about as much when it comes... I care about thematics in 1v1, but 1v1 is like not really what Cosmonarchy is even about. That's going to sound funny to some people because that's all they know the game about. But Cosmonarchy is more about like FFAs and team games and larger scale engagements and campaigns and stuff. So like that's what I always intended Cosmonarchy to be about. Yes, I focus a lot on 1v1. It's a great avenue of showcasing the game and showing off some of the cool stuff we have. And yes, we do even balance around 1v1 sometimes. But that's not the sole focus of it, and it's not really the raison d'etre for Cosmonarchy. It doesn't exist to be a 1v1 product, if that makes sense. It just happens. I mean, you can at the very least, like, we are always happy to have, what do you call it? As far as Space talking about contributing, we can certainly take some concept art and stuff like that, so we're always on the lookout. Team game with every race faction versus every race faction. Yeah, when we have 16 players or whatever. Well, no, I think you would need even more than that. That's like new engine territory. Yeah, campaign creators, more campaign creators would be excellent, for sure. I'm working on some stuff now. The donors who donate $12 a month or more are testing the new co-op scenario, which is pretty cool. RTS for casuals, that's the best for professionals. I don't know how you would describe that. But I know that a lot of people have played the tutorials and some of the campaign content and then are like, all right, I want to play some multiplayer, which is more than sometimes they always say. Like, sometimes a lot of people who play even at like the higher levels of Cosmonarchy, like in our top 20 players, weren't really hardcore gamers. Like Arbuz and Shambler, neither of those two hardcore played, 1v1 per se. They would play, more of the fun modes, the casual mode. And so it's that has had, what is something that we do is a little bit different in that respect. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Cosmonarchy tagline. It's Cosmonarchy. That's it. That's all you need. All right, we're going to go a little bit further back here, and I'm going to cast a match between Smarty Cakes and Odorless. I want to check this one out. Odorless, one of our newer players from, I was going to say from the ANZ region, which is Australia, New Zealand, but specifically, he's New Zealander. I don't think I've casted this game before. It's a TVZ. Get to see some Zerg here. I think this is pre the model updates, so don't get too excited about anything too wild now. I should troll him and pronounce his name Odourless every time. Because the U in odor is not something for Americans. Not there. It makes sense, though, that the U is silent, right? But for me, the U is never silent. I am never silent. I am not a silent U. I yap too much for that to be the case. Let's go ahead and get our ducks in a row here. Odor full. Odor more. Odor less, odor more. Alrighty, homies, here we go. It is going to be time to cast a little bit of an interesting match here on Demoloon. We are looking at Smarty Cakes on the top left, our eggshell blue Terran, and he's already harvesting a little bit of Vespene, which leads me to believe he might be opening mech here against Odorless, our New Zealander, who has featured in a few matches so far on TikTok, actually, funnily enough. And we have him as our, I'm going to say Zinwaldite Brown Zerg in the bottom right, going for that Larvosk opener. So welcome, welcome all who are watching. And of course, we will get our Twitch prediction underway, as this is a live game. And we will confirm, indeed, that it will be a fulcrum start here for our Terran player who hasn't actually played Terran since Acropolis 3, really. I mean, he's played all the races on and off here and there, but he's signed up for the Tribunal stage, Tribunal number 3 as Zerg. He was previously Protoss, and before that in Acropolis 3 he was Terran, so interesting to see Smarty doing some Terran gaming again. Pool follow-up for Odorless here, something that one of our top Zergs, top active Zergs right now, Arbuz Budesh says, is a favorable, preferable option compared to the the Den opener that has been all the rage up until recently. And with this two-falk start that Smarty is going for, Vultures are going to be on the menu. So let's see what Odorless does in preparation for that. Ha! He's got the funny little pathing movement. You can do this as a trick shot with your Mason if you do the timing right. It's pretty consistent. Old Vulture model. Huh. Get back to the new one. What are you doing? Jump into your new skin. Don't worry, the Fulcrum is still building. There's a bug in StarCraft 1 that's exactly like this, except the structure doesn't continue building. So at least we fixed that part. We'll fix the animated part later. Quasilisks are on the way here to try to hold any Vulture Flood at the door, but actually there wasn't so many military units made here. Instead, a Scrapyard on the way and Anchor on the way. A little bit more of a defensively minded opener here for our Terran player, who is going to allow Odorless then to get up to a faster extra base, draw up very safely. Not that the Zerg knows this per se, but if they go for like an Ovolith Scout or something like that, they can absolutely figure it out. Everybody favoring Smarty Cakes on the bet. We'll see if that ends up coming up heads for them, as a ministry will get started here in a moment. And Blackjacks are on the way, so Odorless will be under the pump from the spammable mechanized regiment. Larvos number 2 will put us at 4 larvae per 14 seconds here for Odorless. And he'll be setting up a static defense structure at the natural as he gets a bit more on the worker side. So we will end up seeing the Zerg take advantage worker-wise pretty soon here. And Matadors are starting to filter out in addition to the Blackjacks, which have garrisoned the anchor. And we have a Jimmy chat, Jimmy in the chat, who is very excited that we have a new merch shop, store.cosmonarchy.com. Two more Fulcrums adding in, and the anchor actually lands. I think that's in the way of the ministry. Let's see how calculated Smarty is. He's just going to make Masons with it for now. Stockade on the way. We're probably going to have a Vestry add-on. He cancels out that Mason and moves it down here, and yeah, he realizes that's a little bit out of place. Finally, Odorless will return to the scene of his dead Droleth, or try to, sort of, and see what's going on over here. A Lodestone. It's good. This is a good, like, Garrison plus anti-Lakizalisk, if that's going to be what Odorless goes for, but right now he's just adding his Vornath upgrade to the pool and going for a lot of Quas. Oh, well, I spoke too soon. Zerka Shroud starts inside the main base. Vulture will lay some mines to block expanding nakedly upon the 3 o'clock position and just kind of garrison the inner 6. 6 o'clock has already been lobotomy mined as well. Booby trapped. Blackjack's arriving to the garrison that Lodestone, no doubt, and then we're going to see what Smarty wants to pivot into. Is it actually going to end up being a Palladium follow-up to this? Maybe a lot of Madrigals or something. He still hasn't added on to the Stockade. Moves his Fulcrum over to get faster rallies of the workers, and we have a nice Quasilisk army here. Vastly outnumbering the Terrans, but of course, Vulture, Blackjack, Matador, pretty good. Matador in particular, very, very hard for Quasilisks to crack, so... Covenant on the way for Smarty. He's doing the Nicholas build where he does one stockade. At least he's adding more stockades. The one stockade Covenant to make like a trickle of Eidolons with mech. I never understood what Nicholas was going for with that, but he has been doing that in weekend wages, so that's what I associate it with. Big throng of Quas moving across the map. No third base in sight just yet. We got 3 Ovileths, and the Calcure Lake is on the way. So these Quas, you know, assuming Odorless keeps retains them and all that, they can make Lyralisks. They can turn into Lyras, and that will be a very deadly duel. As you can see, a lot of banking happening right now for the Zerg player, despite his 3 Zoryus that are on the way to supplement the Zerg army. And if the Ovileths are able to get over here to help clear the mines, they can sort of pave the way with abusing the lack of mobility that the Matador comp has, and maybe lowering a lot of those units back up to try to defend. But we have a lot of production structures here, so if Smarty Cakes is allowed to develop his economy a little bit more, we're actually going to get a pretty nice amount of extra units for the Terran arsenal. Odorless clears out that Vulture. Only thing left to account for are is the lobotomy mine at 3 o'clock, really. That's all that's providing any sort of vision to our Terran player, and we have 4 Eidolons on the way, as well as more Blackjacks and a Matador. Capping the ridge inside the main base, as the one in the natural has already been done, and no third base in sight just yet. Not enough money, as he's built a lot of production facilities, but with that extra sieve, we should be seeing a little bit more Eidolon count as a result. I love Odorless's Quas positioning here, making sure to position in time to catch any landing of extra bases, and 3 o'clock is not going to be taken. Instead, it'll be 6 as the third base, and some Lyras are already being produced. Only 7 so far. He could definitely make some more. But the hatch will pop in just a moment here at this 6 o'clock location, and the Terran army is also going to be moving out here in just a moment. At least positioning itself across the bridge to accept any incoming attacks. If the Zoryus leads the charge, we could still see some nice engages. The Eidolons are something you got to watch out for here. Let's see. Trying to push forward, catches a Blackjack on the way out, and also here's the telltale sound. Telltale sound of incoming Eidolons. Gonna try to see if he can force himself across the bridge. Remember, those Zoryus can speed things up, but a little bit of a flummoxed army as he waits for more Lyralisks to hatch. Starpad is on the way. Where is it? Down here in the natural, on the low ground. 11 Droleth being sent over to that 6 o'clock position. The army is pretty scary. You can still see that Smarty Cakes hasn't actually taken control of 12 o'clock yet, and Odorless is taking that high ground just south of that northernmost base. Still nothing at 3. Droleth's pushing over down to that location, and the Mason will actually get caught, so he's gonna have to make that ministry over here inside the main base, or perhaps in the natural, yeah, above his current one. He's adding watchdogs over here. You know, when you scout the Lyralisk, you got to watch out for Calculisks, but that's not at all what Odorless is focused on. He's got 1,000 minerals in the bank and 1,500 gas as well, and he's going to see if he can set up a little pseudo-containment here. The mine's actually kind of biting back. Not Smarty's finest hour in that front, but oh man, these Matadors are taking so long to deal any sort of fatalities to. Odorless not able to break through there. He has gotten rid of one of the anchors. And finally, he'll chew through those Matadors, but not a lot of units left over. Means that he won't be able to finish the job, I don't think. The Zoryus are taking quite a while to finish, but the rally should be able to clear this, and he has no more military units. He was busy making a lot more Droleth during this time and really, getting his economy up, so his army has started to dwindle. A very expensive loss of military there, as even a Blackjack going down to the Rillarocors in the dying embers of that fight. It was a very close one indeed, and 12 pairs of Nathracors are started. Could absolutely see Odorless go for a horde of Calcs, but he doesn't want to attack into these Watchdogs. That's more of like almost a kill move. Maybe he can ignore them or range them down anyway, isolate them. It looks like another Lodestone will be started over here, hilariously. Love to see that. Ayud64 joins our chat. Reigning second placer. Runners-up of Acropolis 3, champion of Acropolis 2. Watching with great interest as Smarty Cakes takes on an ANZ player, New Zealand Zerg, who I really do, he was undercutting himself a little bit, underselling himself earlier, because I was like, oh yeah, I hear you're pretty good, and he's like, no, I'm bad, and then, yeah, so far he's learning, he's doing some interesting things. He did not survive my mineral-only composition as Zerg or Terran, but that's okay, that's a knowledge check, you know what I mean? I also agree with Crankadown in the chat, who says that Eidolon TVZ is a bit of a mistake. Looks like the Nathracors are going to continue migrating around. We have Ultracores coming. A lot of Calcs have been made back at home, as well as a bunch of Quas, which I'm guessing are soon to be Lyras. Look at the gas bank. So much Vespine. A little bit more saturation on the minerals, perhaps. Or, yeah, I guess a little bit more could be nice, but he's not that far away. Probably just to get an extra base then. A rare case where actually taking the inner 6 would probably be a little bit more beneficial. Not because it has more minerals, it doesn't, but it might be a little bit easier to project force across the map if you take that base. It is kind of true, Jimmy. I even killed Hit 'em Up with Maverick only once. Nathracors might end up intercepting this little migration of Masons. They are going to dive in. There's enough Watchdogs here that I don't think this is going to be particularly successful. But if he's just aiming to get a little bit of a scout off, no, he actually wants to go for worker damage. I feel like if he had actually turned these into Calcs, it would have been a very different story. But he doesn't have a lot of minerals. There are some Savants for Armor Pen. You really got to watch out for that. That splash damage is brutal. So he's going to fly away. He'll end up hemorrhaging a couple of his Nats on the way out, but he gets a pretty good scout of where it is and confirms that the military is still at home. He has a little bit more time to morph more units, and so he does. 6 Lyralisks more on the way. So much Vespine, dude. Still can't quite find a way to spend it all. Give me that Apex strain, Zozark Gorge. Whole bunch of Calcs, something. 12 o'clock. Going to be the subject of derision here. Odorless charging in with a couple of his Lyralisks. Not quite committing to the fight in the way that you would expect. This could be caught on the way back out. He needs to pick targets, I think. He's done some economic damage, but now he needs to fall away and focus down his units onto those Anseals. Down they go immediately. I feel like the Calcs have already kind of done their jobs. The Savants are going to try to splash them down, but there's no more focused splash damage. Instead, everything trying to deal with that front line. Now the Calcs come back in, trying to finish off those Savants. Are they going to be able to make it happen? It looks like the bounce damage is going to be enough, and Odorless Odorless has actually cracked the code. GG. Smarty Cakes not able to make it happen with the Terran Arsenal. The Eidolons maybe being a little bit too fancy. And our Zerg player has felled him. Felled the man. The Savants were pretty good versus the Ultra Cores, actually, but yeah, that was some pretty good stuff, man. I downloaded that game so long ago, I forgot the winner, and so that's a pretty good win right there. Odorless, the man. Whoever bet on Smarty, it was Villia. Tasteless brother, odorless. That's a good one. I do feel like if Aoud is about to drop that he thinks that Plague is really good, I agree with that man so hard. You did not remember that game. It was wiped from your memory banks. Yeah, that was back on the 22nd, I think. So it was a while ago. I'm going to hope that the same version is good for this next replay because I do not have any information on it. And I do want to cast it. Let's do it. Continuing our theme, we're going to be sticking with Smarty here, even though he ended up dropping. I'll see if there's any more odorless games, though. Because he's cool to cast, for sure. GLHFs are exchanged at the beginning of our next match on Mass Destruction. Smarty Cakes, the red Zerg, vivid red in fact, and Vilius, the green Terran. They're sharing the left side of the map. Marty on top, Vilius on the bottom. Let's see. It's going to come out on top here. And we have Shopkeeper Dog in the chat. A gathering of Class 1s as they watch the not Class 1s duke it out. Stockade from Vilius and Smarty. Just going for a Larvosk opener here by the looks of things. I would hope it doesn't desync Smarty because it was submitted to me. It wasn't just a replay Kraken poll, so. Calculus is what Aoud was talking about in the last game. Sorry guys, we are of course live, so I am checking chat every now and then. But by the way, we have a merch shop. You can buy Cosmonarchy merch. Store.cosmonarchy.com. If you missed that announcement earlier, check it out. It's pretty epic. Double Stockade here. Vilius going to go Bio. Old Maverick model. As in StarCraft 1 Maverick. This. It's a very bold choice here by Smarty. To go what looks to be like triple Larvosk here. Quarry for Vilius. He wants to make Talos. This feels like... anytime I see a quarry built before, like, 4 minutes into the game, I'm really worried. Because there's no treasury coming, but I guess he might put one down here for the expand. Yeah, okay. Alright, maybe it's not as bad as I think, but I think it might be bad. Hydra's then off to the side. This is like a cute little funnel, right? You put, like, a Kagrant here. Or here, I guess. Either one. And you kind of funnel units through here, right? So, or through there. Eudalon. That's a good one. Yeah, if you think about it, one of his most famous wins was over Nebelheim in the grand finals of Acropolis 2, and it was off the back of using Blackjack Eidolon sometimes. So some of the game. Pretty cool. Taluses are on the way. We have the Circuit showing showing Vilius the door. Only now is the Hydra then actually going to finish up 3 minutes in. He hasn't made a military unit. So, of course, what do? You make a watchdog. What up, Godwheat? I actually have not casted any of your games yet. Maybe you should, you know, buy some merch. And then I will. Yeah, that's Jimmy. Check it out, dude. Everybody finding their family in the chat. Izira cores arrive. Hydra's coming up. Can you guys wait until the Hydralisk model? I don't know, man. Not so sure. Vilius taunting him with the watchdog. TVT when Taloses were still more common and you could just float a watchdog in and kill a bunch of Talos is so good, dude. I love that so much. So the Hydras are actually moving across the map, looking in kind of the wrong direction. Izira cores are going to be face tanking the Maverick. Well, there isn't one in the works yet, Jack Yelangsky, but the point is, we are going to have one at some point. Popped. Hydra's in an Izzy. Oh, look at this. The treasury off to the side. Vilius is doing it again. We've seen Vilius do this exact thing. He builds like 80 workers in 2 units, and then he dies. Let's see if it's any different now, as we do have some static defense becoming erected over there at the natural. It does feel like there's enough Hydras to make this work pretty easily, but he doesn't know that yet. Fulcrum adds later on in the game. Khazitrith, Circuith at the natural. And Phalanx would be great to break that. You could even go straight here. I mean, like, this path here, this side path is a little bit faster. I really like that for these kinds of spawns, but see if Vilius bothers to like it much. Vilius is not sure how to feel about this. Me neither. Ski back on the way for Smarty. He'll go for some Bactylisks, I'm sure. The meme of Cannoli was an AI-generated comment suggestion for a reply when somebody said something funny about Cannoli, and the AI-generated comment was, haha, classic Cannoli. And that just became a bit for a little bit. A lot of Hydras and some IZ presence, but the Mavericks shoo them away. Can't believe 1 damage has been dealt for that treasury. Unbelievable. This is probably before the Izira Corps had 1 armor pen. Yeah. So they're pretty bad at dealing with anything other than unarmored units right now. Vilius is going to go ahead and turtle up here, it looks like. Excellent. We'll be in for a long one. Hey. Well, that did get the army out of position. Now Smarty Cakes can set up for a push. Matadors, a single Eidolon. No, there's 2. But are they going to be Eudolons? That's the real question. Another Watchdog Scout. Welcome to the chat. No exit, no problem. You are not alone in your observation that StarCraft 2 was lame. Certainly something I agree with. Looks like 12 o'clock going to be taken here, as well as all of these satellite mineral bases, curiously enough. What should we do about this? There's a problem here. New Talos needs to go on a diet. The model is a little bit different in the modern version of the game than this when this replay was made. I think it's a little bit better for size. It might still need to be shrunk a little bit. We'll find out. Looks like eventually this base will be spotted here. Smarty still has a very big worker deficit, but he's going to send some up to 12 o'clock at some point, I'm sure. He's scouted everywhere but the base that is actually being operated upon. Looks like he'll find bottom right natural. Matadors have started to trickle in here. Got more stockades coming. Vilius affording more than Smarty might bargain for. There's a pretty big concave here, though. I don't think he can break out even with his army. Hey. Cancel this base. Drolef wants to move in. Had the same idea. Hi. Aw, didn't cancel that one. Will he ever find it? I think this treasury is off center, by the way. No, actually it's not. It's fine. One worker attacks, one worker repairs. As God intended. It was sausage. Oh, I guess it wasn't sausage. That's okay. Smarty will just kill him. Jeez. He's just trying to do nothing the whole game. Hey, look, all your units over here. Wait, Vilius might actually have enough here. Go win. It's true. He's got too many units. He's got too many units and Smarty can't use his larva. He's been handicapped. What a hilarious end to a game. I never thought I would see it, but it's true. I mean, even these reinforcements are getting owned by what's coming out from Vilius, so that's hilarity, honestly. Truly impressive. I don't think Smarty could have built anything that would have stopped this even with it. His shroud finished, but it was pretty late. Of course Smarty would say that. I think maybe that happened a lot sooner than you, buddy. You're dead. Yeah. It was this base. Look, he's just preparing. Oh. Owned. Devastated. And that's how Vilius beat Smarty, fair and square. No questions asked. Yeah, there's definitely been some adjustments compared to, like, I don't know, what would you call it? Oh, here, hold on, let me put up the most recent version of the game so I'm not showing you guys the wrong thing. There's definitely been adjustments to the game. So it's probably better, it's probably more productive to ask, like, specifically what unit are you talking about here? One of the games of all time. Yeah, that's true. It's true, Marsupial. Very true. Ayud is saying that Cyprian... Oh.
You stole this from my daughter's Tooth Fairy Fund.
Hell yeah. And you know what that means? Now we're $5 closer to another show match. Thank you, Godwee. I appreciate that. Why are there dead Masons? Don't ask questions. And it's a molar. So if we were to just kind of stare at this cool guy, look at that cool guy. But also if we were to say like the Cyprian, mostly the biggest change for the Cyprian since like last tournament or whatever, last major Acropolis, right?
Go, go, go!
Is that now there's that little wind up, you know?
Go, go, go! Let's blow this popsicle stand!
There's a little bit of forgiveness in there where you can stutter step a little bit, but you will have that targeting delay.
We're moving! Commander. Go, go, go! Outstanding. Let's move. Outstanding. Standing by, Commander.
So you can't stutter step with these units that are meant to be a little bit more relaxed, right? You can't stutter step quite as much, but
I'm gone. Standing by. Let's move.
yeah, I could pick them out of a lineup easy enough. There's no shoulder pauldrons on the Madcap anymore. Probably could make the
Let's move.
bluish gray metal a little bit darker on the Maverick without it clashing too much, but yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I think Cyprians are still really good, despite the nerf. The biggest thing is that they got more durable, so they stay alive longer.
Eyes up.
Kind of the same for the Cyclops. Cyclops also got a bit more durable.
On it.
Not like super recently, but a lot of units got buffed in HP since the last tournament. So you are going to see a little bit of a difference in the mechanics and stuff. But that's a good question, Garwheat. You have to go and find out.
Truth to power.
Yeah, Cyprians can definitely do a lot of damage, so they are still good. But they don't provide you as much safety as they used to versus Dracodons or anything that outranges them. So the key detail is, like, Cyprians are too slow to do anything about Lechizalisks or Dracodons because those are outranged. Bactylisks obviously destroy the Cyprian pretty hard. But both of the Bactylisk and the Lechizalisk are more intensive in terms of resources than in tech requirements and stuff, so they cost a little bit more setup. So I can understand what Ayud is saying about the fact that, like, what can you really do about the Cyprian buildup? However, the Cyprian is still a lot of Vespene individually. So, yes, it's a lot of power on a tier 1 unit with no requirements, but you are trading off the ability to scale your tech tree in a different capacity. Like, if you stick to Cyprians and you don't win the game with the Cyprians, you probably ought to be, at best, even, and more likely behind. Also, check the new Goliath rendering. Pretty cool. A little bit darker, a little bit better. That is Crank. That is Arbiz Crank.
Systems functional.
Arbiz Authority. He's a class 1 Zerg now, dude. Lakis shred everything while you're trying to detect the Lakis. Yeah. It does require a lot more setup. It's just like when you get to that point where you can do that setup, it's pretty, it's a challenge. Lake has got nerf of HP, walk speed, and damage also. Yeah, you can say... Since Acropolis 3, yes, they move slower. But they cost less minerals, so the idea is that you can make more of them. And you can make the same amount of Lakis and have more infrastructure, like pool units, hatch, other mineral-only units like Zoryus. Because they're 75 of each resource. They used to be 100 minerals, 75 gas. I think they might have even been 125 minerals. I'll let you guys look at this eye candy for a bit. I got to take a quick phone call. BRB. All right, I have returned. What's going on? Zeke, you've been trying Calculisk and Lyrilisc? Oh, yeah. Instead of Mutalisk, gets Death Zoracore. That's funny. You don't fall apart from Calcura. Just walk over Calcure Army. I like that there's a distinction in the kinds of things that you can do, though. I think that's cool. Yeah, why not like this stream? Why not subscribe? Why not donate? Big dollar bills. That's right. Wheat did donate. That means I have to cast a Wheat game. Let's go see which ones are there. Yeah, Canadian dollar isn't so good. Ain't doing too hot. Alright, we can cast a pair of games between Godwheat and Art of Turtle. No reason why we cannot. More Zergon Terran action here. It's kind of funny. Godwheat used to be the main guy that would get the the scrunched name treatment because his name was so long. Shopkeeper Dog's another one that would get it, but you know I casted a little bit more Godwheat than Shop Dog recently. But then Kutiam joined, and Kutiam's name is too big too, so. Tisk tisk. Fraud. Grab this version of the game real quick. And get ready to rock and roll. What the fuck? Power up to sleep. Cosmonarchy makes your day. Hell yeah, welcome. Hope you're having a good time. On this beautiful day of Cosmonarchy casting, we are going to be taking a look at AOT versus Godwheat. It's going to be a good time. AOT looks to be going for a Larvosk opener, judging by his Vespine income. He is our green Zerg in the top left of Patadia, and in the bottom right we have Godwheat, our Palatinate Blue Terran. Let's see if Godwheat can make things happen. He did donate $5, so I am casting his replays. If you happen to catch me on a live stream and you donate money and you have a replay you want me to cast, well, that's a pretty good way to get me to cast the replay. Just saying. Just saying. And of course we have Vilius in the live chat talking about betting, so of course I will put in the option to bet. And look at that. You got 2 minutes to make your decision. It is a little trick that Godwheat discovered. Larvosk on the way for AOT, as Godwheat goes for the Stockade. We have the new Maverick skin active in this very epic day. Shout out Solstice for producing that. All we need now is a new Zealot skin, a new Hydralisk and Zethracore skin. You know, new models for all of them. Felixander in the chat. Yeah, Cosmonarchy Saturday. You know, a week from today, we're actually having Weekend Wage again, so you will see a nice long tournament stream. Nuking Zergs, hell yeah. Couple of bad boys here. Felixander is Felixander, dude. I think there's a Felix on our Discord server. It might be the same guy. It's going to be a pool follow-up for AOT. He's got a lot of larva. When you scout here and you see a lot of larva, you know you're about to heal, you're about to deal a lot of damage, or be dealt a lot of damage. Well, there's enough Mavericks here that should be able to shoo away, but it will require some stim control. No. Not Alexander. Alexander's a different guy. Need new mouse hello! I assume this last character is like a pipe that... It's a wall that suddenly cuts the sentence off, so... I guess he needs a new keyboard too. Talked about how every time I cast one of his games, I catch all of his mistakes. Well, even the ones that you make when typing. Here's a mistake. No Masons being trained! Or is it a mistake? It might be a calculation. Putting down a second stockade and a third. And just slamming out the units. Whamma-jamma. Let's see how AOT goes. I don't like that he's going in single file here. He's immediately going to end up losing some. Let's see if the Mavericks can hold the line. Despite that, there's no stem. What a huge blunder. Ah, jeez. Godwheat. Gonna have to cycle back with his Mavs. The Ministry will finish at the very least, but the Mason goes down, and there's a lift. Now, the only reason AOT didn't go for the kill there is because he assumed there'd be more Mavericks where that came from. And sort of true, but honestly, those 8 Zeths could have been humongo. Macro hatch by the little ramp here. I like that. That's a cute little move. And it looks like AOT, off the back of that little extra value, is going to drop a hatch here. AOT currently, at the time of discussion here, is near the top of the rankings for Class 2. And Godwheat near the bottom, kind of skated by. Perhaps he's going to show us what he's made of here. A little bit of a hold position on some of those Zeths so they don't all engage. This guy's very low. Could have been maybe gone for, but no worries there. And some drawlouts moving across the map. AOT, what are you doing? Get him back to home base. 2 pairs of Nathrakors and 4 more pairs of Zeths are on the way for our Zerg player as he expands, halfway done. And he will go ahead and cap his Ridge with an Excisant. Vorv's on the way. We'd love to see a good set of Vorvs, but they're caught in the middle of the map. A Hurakan has arrived as well to lead these Mavericks to victory. I'm just another Maverick in the stockade. Hell yeah. I like that. That's a good quote. That'll be a quote on a poster someday on our merch store. Store.cosmonarchy.com. Buy merch. Very epic. I don't yet have stream alerts set up for merch. I couldn't figure out how, but eventually it will appear. All right, here we go. One Maverick has been stimmed, by the way, not all of them. And the Nathricors come in to try to heckle him. That's going to interrupt the construction of that. Meanwhile, the Vorvs sink their teeth in. The stims did come out at the end of the day, but there's no surviving Hurakan, and you need that bad puppy in order to deal with all those rabid dogs. Well, Godwheat's in a lot of trouble here. He's got one Hurakan, a couple Mavericks stim after those pesky Naths. Scout out the fact that anchors are being made, and a little bit of momentum swinging on the way of AOT. He made his, Droleth count now, but look at the Zeth count he's got. And people tell me Zerg doesn't swarm enough. Look at this. Outrageous. 18 workers, 43 military units, as God intended. But not as Wheat intended. I hope you guys are in a joyful mood, because I sure am. Looking at this game, being able to call how Godweed is building his Trojan, getting ready to do some kind of desperate drop. Got a lot of Hurakans ready to rock and roll. Rock and roll. Zeth rock and roll if you're my homie LAX Gaming one time. Shout out. There's the drop. If AOT's a little bit chancy with it, if he takes a little bit too long, 11 Droleth. No military back at home except for these Zeth Vorv. Now the Nathricors are on a patrol path. I guess he could task him on it real quick. Shroud being made. A little bit of a point of transition right now for AOT. He wants to secure a more decided military advantage. In reality, he could just decide to take all of his units and drive them into the enemy base, but cruising to victory is not AOT's specialty right this moment, and here we go. Yeah, get him! Get him, boy! Get that Trojan! Force the unload, and now they're going to go ahead and get some value. There's the unit's going to go ahead and respond. Response time a little bit slow, going to allow Larvos to be picked off here. And the whole army also coming away from AOT's front gate as the Atlas gets put down. Hold on, Godwheat. He's given a good accounting of himself in these dying embers. The first match of Patadia. We do have a second one after this, but I don't know. Oh, wow. Ahmed is really good. Did you guys know how good Ahmed is? He almost burned down all the Zerg and continued harassing stuff. Trojan did go down to the Naths. The rest of the units returning home. Third base on the way, and Drolet's going to need to be rebuilt as an Olgorg on the way as well. Anseal starting to come around. Cestus be put down. A little bit of a leapfrog. You can put the anchors further forward now. I feel like with that third base timing, AOT should still be able to get a good spot to him, but it is a little bit hard to contend with everything that's coming online here. Mantle's on the way. That's his tech du jour for this particular matchup. Might end up seeing some Ramses or Cataphracts. Lake is around the Khazitra. That's dirty. But third base is going to be where it's all at. Where all the fighting's going. As the Mavericks start to march, the Hurakans pretty quick behind them. 10 Zoryus are on the way for AOT. He puts his Lakes further down. Well, I feel like, honestly, I know he's got the Lakes with the Khazitra, but if the engagement is just right, Godweak could bypass the third base without even knowing it's there. He might be able to just walk in here and do some damage. That being said, it's still very trepidatious. You don't really want to engage there with Bio of all things. And here we go, a Cataphracted Durandal. A couple more bad puppies on the way as well. Oh, you can shoot a couple of these guys. Easy. Sure. Why not? I'll set up for a real easy surround here. Godwheat could lose everything in just a moment. 3 Ultra Cores being mutated. Those will be finished up pretty soon. His third base is coming online courtesy of a Sentinel projecting a little bit of defensive power. Cestus and Anchor still there down at the natural choke, and Godwheat wisely backs up away from the position that he was just in. Cataphract saunters on down, looking sharp. Durandal does have the Philistine Salvo implemented now, a different secondary weapon that targets only air units and applies a polyoid. So it's a little bit more of a supportive role versus air. What is the map? It's on the screen. Stim comes out, but the Hurricanes aren't rending the armor of the Ultra Cores off to the left-hand side. Still trying to focus him down, and will do so, but he needed to get the hell out of there. And obviously, his Anseal's late to the party. Complicate matters further for this biostack. This is still an important part of Godwheat's army, and it looks like AOT is just going to blow right through him. Starting to dwarf the military size. Cataphracts and Durandals marching across. We got 11 more Zoryus where that came from. A couple of units sort of sacrificed away. The lake is looking for an opportunity. The Anseals are still here. There's not much anti-air. Feels like maybe Starports would have been a good choice, actually, as a result of the Zorka's heavy tech. Going after those workers and getting the burrow off on the lake is he kills most of the harvesters there, and more lake is where that came. So many more lake is where that came from. Can Godwheat stabilize at all? Is Anseal still providing detection? The Mavericks are getting, way too many lake is to even target, and now the detection needs to cycle back over. That one Cataphract still worth its weight in gold, but the Mavericks are being spiked to death, and there's still 4 lake is remaining. That count is dropping, and some of them are very low, so this should still be cleaned up. Oh my god, there's 3 more up there. And another flank of Lake is Zoryus moving around. Godwheat's army has dropped to a very, very low number, down by 10 workers. No fourth base on the way just yet, and the Lakers are slowly being ranged down. Oh my god, yeah, right on top of the rally point. More dead Masons where that came from. You love to see it, but also you hate to see it. I'm not so sure what what choice or chance Godwheat still has at this point. Try to queue up some more units out of his mantles. He wants to see if he can leverage his faster tier 2 timing to stabilize this game a little bit. It is a possibility, but AOT has also been very lackadaisical with the game. You can see the spending there, or lack thereof. Going for the Zozark. He'll make a bunch of, 26 in fact, by the looks of it, Calculisks. Well, the walkers still provide a lot of strength. 3 mantles operational. Spending down every last dollar he's got, including the ones that he spent on the stream. Some Nathrakors, pretty big stack here. Another attack comes in. This one is less scary than before. I don't think Pure Kata is going to be quite enough, though. Ministry's going to go down, and look, the Nathrakors could finish it off, but AOT doesn't pull the trigger on it. A couple of Zoryus splatter to the ground, and the Ultracores just eat the corpses on the way out. Mass repairs onto the Ministry that was almost dead. Flashed back up in an instant. A couple Hurricanes chasing death. They'll be cleaned up pretty easily. A lot more Zethrakors just got popped, but honestly, these Naths just need to turn into Calcs, and then that might just wrap the game up. There's not any splash damage versus air in Godwheat's arsenal. Well, not really any splash damage at all, I guess. But the Sentinel that was there one time did offer some anti-ground. Durandal's also providing a little bit of it with the fire, and you could say the same about the Hurricanes. I feel like with the way that the positioning from Godwheat's army is, he might be able to provide a little bit of threat, but remember the Khazithrith is still here, providing the Lakas with more projectiles than normal. already a very deadly part of AOT's army. But hold on, he's kind of grinding him through. And we never actually got those important calculisks. Instead, he's going to try to sweep over the whole side of the map, and I don't think this is going to work out at all. AOT, have you bungled it? He's got some... Okay, he's starting to make some of the more heavier tier units, the Zobriolisks, coming out for extra damage. Try to range down those Durandals, and he's got some Gorgs where that came from. This game has been so sloppy, really from both sides, but AOT was leading from the front for pretty much the whole time, but he never took a fourth base, and now his Lakers are getting ranged down. Oh my god, the Walker count's out of control. 3k in the bank on the minerals, 1k on the gas, and AOT is going to concede a game he should have been able to win. Let's be real here. God, we put us up to that one. Took his pedal off the metal. To be fair, he could have been trying something a little bit different, you know, trying a different composition or something, but that's a rough one. That is not how you want to start off your series against the Wheat. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have AOT versus Godwheat Game 2. Same map, same spawns, same green color for AOT, but Godwheat is now a periwinkle. Look at that. I only like Felixander then. Cataphracts are pretty damn good, as demonstrated by that last match. They were the laser walkers. But it is worth pointing out that AOT had such a resource bank there. Never expanded again and never really got his teched out army. His production never really scaled. Could be possible he was getting yelled at in voice chat or something. I don't know. There could be psychological warfare going on. God, we're going to go for a mech opener this time. It is a standard Larvosk into pool for AOT by the looks of it, though he is still harvesting extra Vespine gas, so it's going to be a slower pool timing than traditional. On the upside, he can go ahead and grab another Larvosk a little bit earlier on. So if he wants to go up to a fast triple larva setup, which is different than what he did in game 1, that could be an option. Doesn't necessarily afford you less, resources in the long run of it, but it does probably mean a slower, worker at one point. Maybe less military units instantaneously. We saw him get a lot of value from those 8 Zethra at the beginning of the game, killing all the Mavericks and pushing Godwheat back to the brink of demise. A fresh Vulture model will be showcased in this game, as Godwheat will go for a mech start. And a slower start on the economy could end up pivoting in a bad way for AOT if the Vulture gets in and does some damage, right? It's already finished as the pool is about to pop in, maybe 5 seconds there. So, if he makes some quads, that's one thing. The Zets are going to have a bit of a harder time catching the Vulture. There it is. And straight into a pool. Okay, so that's what the Vespine was for, not an extra round of, Larvosk to try to prepare more units, spend down the bank a little bit faster. Instead, AOT going to be going for the Larvosk after the Vornath. And so that's why he kept on gas the whole time. Still not no ridge harvesting whatsoever. I was realizing for a moment there that actually this ridge harvesting is pretty inefficient based on the resource layout. And so maybe that has something to do with it. On this particular map, you might go for more, more of a monoculture there on the harvesting. The Vulture, not able to really deal with the burrow trap. It's not much of a trap in the sense that Godwheat obviously saw it. He knows it's coming. Ministry now starting up behind the 1 Fulcrum 4 Vulture start. Each Vulture worth 100 minerals, by the way, unlike 75 in Starcraft 1. But we don't have concussive damage, so, that might contribute towards it. Down goes 1 Zethra. They are going to need to go back to a burrow situation, and it'll provoke a little bit. Nice little trap there. Nice little shenanigan. Get some damage onto that. Got some quads for defense, and they can kind of stand up here. But the very fast Nathracors are just going to fly across the map. And versus mech in particular, this is a really dangerous position for Godwheat to be in. He has no more units coming across that might reveal these Nathracors ahead of schedule. And the Stockade construction crew will be in danger. The Nathracors can also just go after the Masons, and if the only anti-air you have is a pair of Cyclops, you're going to be dealing a lot of friendly splash damage. So this game could very well go the opposite direction of what Godwheat wants, just like the early game of the first round. And immediately, some action had as the Masons are going to be victims. 1 Stockade slowed. Don't want to spend your Nathracor HP too early necessarily on these, absorption of the Cyclops damage, but he does still slow down the 2nd Stockade again, and he's going to get out with this pair. Is he going to be planning for a fast Calcure Lake, I wonder. Because he could end up turning that pair of gnats into calcs later on, and it would be pretty good, pretty cheap. Worth pointing out as well, a recent-ish patch made it so that Nathricors are more durable and cost less minerals. They are now 50 minerals, 50 gas, so a little bit easier to keep them alive and a little bit easier to spam them at the same time. Trojan starting. Godwit wants that drop. It did give him a lot of breathing room in game 1, so that makes sense. Crank it now. You can't say better graphics and then name drop SCR. That's like an oxymoron, dude. But I think that the new Vulture is pretty snazzy. Might be a little bit too shiny, but if so, we'll iterate on it over time. What matters is we can iterate on it. We can. We have a model now. You know, the Cyclops changed so many times. You know, even the more recent adjustments to its mesh to make its stance a little bit wider and a little bit more unique in character. There's been so many adjustments to the Cyclops down the years since its initial model was secured. So, worth pointing out that, you know, it's probably, for some of the older units, it's probably worth going back and, like, grabbing screenshots of the model. Or, you know, grabbing maybe like a little mock-up there. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Nats are going to miss this Trojan on the way out of the patrol path a little bit too wide there for AOT. So he's not going to have too much of a reaction time on that front. But he can't get the Zets out. Oh, his Drolets, they weren't harvesting anything, so they will not be set to cross in a different way. The Nats still not pulled to deal with the Trojan. Bit of a problem here. More units coming where that came from, but now the Zets can try to absorb a lot of the aggro. Down goes the Cyclops here. Only some Vultures at the front, not really that scary. Oh no. Oh no! AOT's attacking the Trojan instead of dealing with the Cyclops, so 2 more Drolets go down at least, that I heard. That's a lot of extra oomph there, but at least now the Nathricors will deal with the Trojan and they will not escape. Kind of bold to go for a Trojan even though there were Nathricors spotted, but the timing does favor Godwheat nonetheless. I think, like, in a perfect advisory sense, would you make a Trojan when you see Nathricors? Maybe you would anyway. Maybe you would just throw caution to the wind in that respect. But the scrapyard is done. That means that Blackjack and Matador, mostly Matador, it'll be Maverick Matador by the looks of things here, are going to be slamming out. So pretty good, chunky army. Lyrilisks have arrived for our Zerg player. Not as successful in early game start as game 1, that's for sure. I like that it went from, you know, Fulcrum opener into what is now going to be a Covenant. I guess it's going to be Maverick, Matador, and then some Savant play. Yeah, 2 Savants, 3 on the way. Insulate him against future Ultracore tech paths. Well, it's going to get stunned on the way out of the main base, and we are going to see a little bit of a float coming in for AOT, but I'm sure that means he's going to go for another tech structure. Hydra's then halfway complete. Probably ski-backed. I guess you can go Tethvith. It's actually really good into the Savant because of the way that the Tethzoricor works. Hatteros not going to be endangered for real by these Vultures, but it's a good find. Information gained by Godwheat. Being active on the map is very good. As of right now, it does feel like Godwheat's army is in a scary position. AOT's been doing a lot more drolling, so his military count is very low. Which is always the choice that you end up making. You can see he's actually kind of struggling to allocate his workers right now. He's got 10 worker advantage, but 15 of them aren't actually mining yet, and won't be mining even once they arrive here, as the Hatteros is not quite finished. Calculusks on the way. If those finish, we could be in for a hold. 12 Hydras also will hatch soon. The Lyrilisks fall back. If the Calculusks were done right now, it would be a huge advantage versus the Matadors, but it does feel like Godwheat's found the timing to force AOT to back off just as he transfers all of these workers here. Now they're getting run down. No, yeah, those Calculusks will not finish either and won't be canceled. No, one of them does. Falling back. The Hydras should be able to help with the Matadors at least. That's a very, very risky third base to take, it feels like, and the game on a precipice of ending early. God, we're trying to make the push happen. Got a lot of Mavericks to him. Playing the Savants, we have some Bactylisks finishing up, but they were on a rally instead of just attacking. Zethercore's on the way out. You got stunned by a mine left over from a long time ago. Their DPS would have been helpful. It does feel like those Calculusks were what we were missing from AOT. He's only got some Zethra cores coming. This base not actually being destroyed just yet. The Vulture may go down. Last of the mech units there. This army isn't the scariest. He could maybe try to overwhelm it. Got a lot of production here. And third base being set up, but it's not mining yet, so Godwheat not really in a position to completely end the game just yet. He is going to have to max back up, meet up with everything. He didn't fully kill the Droleth that regressed from that hatch. Got some more Bactyls coming out there. Godweed in the zone, but still has no super good saturation at that third base. Going to add more production, try to spend down his mineral bank. Which makes sense. He's mostly just making pure Savant right now, which I guess if you get enough of them, they can be pretty deadly. But again, remember, if we can get that Tethfith Swamp up for AOT, not in the cards just yet, can be really chancy. Try to have Savants en masse. Lakes are okay against them too, but the Antseals are already out, so that feels like a territory where you need like Lake Calc. Whereas if we just go Teth, it's a little bit simpler. I do like that AOT's army movement is favoring a push into the natural. This is where Zeki's tactics of just kind of suiciding the entire army, yes. Committing the entire army, yes. But in the process, going straight into the on top of the production and destroying, bases and stuff, it's so painful for the Terran army to move at that point, particularly when there's Savants in question. Antseals playing a little bit fast and loose, engaging onto some of these isolated Savants, but is that going to really matter? There's so many. There are so many Savants, guys. Nathicores are here. Try to rend the armor and distract a little bit, but you do need to disengage as the deployed Savants start to charge up. Typically, I would say keep them in the mobile mode because of the penetration, but really, when you have 23 of them, it doesn't really matter what you do. The swamp has been made. We are going to see those Tetzoricores coming up online. And I think AOT's going to need a lot more, and he's going to need a nice engagement on the size of what he just had. Problem is, he is under the pump economically. He doesn't have as good of an economy as the Terran. And even still, he's floating a lot of minerals. Needs to put down a couple more macro hatches, perhaps, and doesn't have all hands on deck. A couple of scattered units sort of lurking about here. Third base not saturated just yet. Godway coming in at a good timing yet again. The Tetzoricor is going to go down immediately. There's two more where that came from, but the Matador's rending the armor, makes it a lot easier. You can still see how much work they're doing to the Savants, though. It's no joke there. The Antseal's trying to protect them as best can. No calcs for the split damage. And look at the nothing in the production tab. It's so much of a bank. 14 Hydras get queued up. It doesn't matter. The Savants are pushing forward. And I think AOT is going to have to go back to the drawing board after that one. GG, a drubbing. Godwheat will take both games. No wonder he donated money for me to cast these. Just like, yeah, maybe I can move up a few spots. Maybe I won't be number 18 anymore. Worth every penny, suckers. Hell yeah, brother. I mean, he's also getting, another show match closer to the completion rate. By the way, if we end up raising $20 extra on top of the 110, we can bring in another 3-peer. We can do a 3-man group again. And I think that'll be really cool if it ends up happening. It'd be really sick. I just got a notification from YouTube that 506 people have watched the What's the Deal with Mike short. That's like years old. Thanks, YouTube. All right, guys. Godwheat has won. Unbelievable. There's a couple of games that Godwheat played versus Sausage that I might be persuaded to throw on the cast as well. We do need more shorts. I was actually thinking, the TikToks... So shorts can only be 3 minutes long. Most Cosmonarchy games don't end that fast. So that wouldn't really be very helpful. But I was thinking that if there are cool matches, we could take those videos that have already been published and distill them down into a short that kind of like summarizes them or shows the really cool hype moments and then links to the full video, obviously. And that could be a cool way to have YouTube Shorts there. It will require some editing, but I don't know. I feel like you would probably just have like you'd have to have like different music almost in the background too. I don't know. That's that's pretty good though. I like that shit. I like the idea. I don't know if Alex is doing. I never see shorts. I don't watch shorts. I am not a shorts person. So I have blocked shorts on mobile. I have blocked shorts on desktop. I don't see shorts. No idea anything anybody is doing with shorts. Yeah, lore vids could be pretty cool. I just imagine like I could borrow Alex for recording. Oh.
This isn't wheat.
It isn't, but I guess I should still cast wheat games, right? I mean, thank you, not wheat, not the wheat of God. What a guy. I know, whoever that person is who wasn't wheat. What a cool guy that was. Truly impressive. Actually, don't know. Pop up in the replays to see what map. Borrow Alex for what? I was thinking of, say, having Alex do like a talking head video, and then we just like kind of crop out his head with a circle overlay or whatever, kind of like when I'm doing my streams. And so at first it's like vertical profile of Alex being like, Cosmonarchy lore is insane. And then it like cuts to like a random concept art of a Cosmonarchy unit that is being talked about, or, you know, like a still image of the unit, and like panning across the still image of the unit in the game. Like, this guy might not look like mine, but actually he's a time-traveling necromancer. She just says shit like that. Yeah, we got to do some more co-casts, Alex and I. He keeps mentioning it in the comments of a video, or mentioning it on his commentary, and I'm like, that sounds like a really good idea, Alex. And then I remember he can't hear me, and then I never message him. Oh yeah, we're looking at the map. It's funny because people tell me that I'm a good caster, and then some people will be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So I get very different feedback. You know, I think most people are like happy, satisfied. And then there's some people who are like, this guy's not Artosis or whatever. I don't know. Pretty funny though. It's not really my focus. Like, I'm focused on making the game. So the casting is just bonus to me. And so it's not really what I'm, not to say I don't want to improve on it. I will over time, naturally, just by doing a lot of reps. Thank you, Crank. Best playing a game right now versus Microgreen, and his name is Stalker Victim. Well, I hope Grass Eater is okay. I hope he's all right. And I will probably cast that series, or whatever games. Yeah, Counter-Strike, my Counter-Strike casting has some moments. Like when I told Crims that he has big feet. You good? Ha! Canadian internet. I agree. Knife's Edge is our first map between I Am the Wheat of God and Sausage. Sausage is our eggshell blue Protoss in the bottom left of Knife's Edge. And in the top left, Godwheat, the Ultramarine Terran. Let's see what happens. Right about now, to me, it looks to me like we're going to be seeing a gateway start. into a fulcrum start. And Knife's Edge is, of course, a port of Dominator done by Jujic. Shout out Jujic one more time. Also, I didn't miss the message in the live chat. This is a live game, or game that is being casted live. I did not miss the message where Jimmy wrote, "What is this map about Patadia?" Which, by the way, the map is on the screen. So that was really funny. But then he just says, "Looks like a better version of Crisis Victor." And I'm sure if BDB ever saw that, like, he would feel so, like, happy. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Because he he donated $90 last weekend wage because he wanted to make it so that if you didn't play Crisis Vector, you know, he would donate $3 to me for the next show match. So, well, it was technically payback for the previous show match. So that was pretty good. That was pretty baller. I appreciate that. It was, and for people asking about the Cosmonarchy, or not Cosmonarchy, Counter-Strike casting moment, I posted it in the Gamer channel, I think, so you can probably find it. Anyway, with a minute to spare, we can go ahead and bet on Twitch if you guys want to bet for somebody to win. Got 2 Folk into 3 Gate. We'll see how that goes. The Borkers did end up at the same location, kind of hanging out. Being like, hey, what's up? You were sent here too? Yeah, I was sent here. I guess you were also. Well, I guess we know where we are now. Good luck. Vulture gives him luck. God, we not choosing not to kill the scribe, and Sausage, of course, types what a noob. I am the noob of God. Says, I am the weed of God. What the fuck? Oh! Oh, never mind. That was fraud. I swear I thought he just killed his own Mason. I attacked his own Mason. And then I really was going to call him the noob of God. But actually, the projectile just doesn't follow the target. And the scribe did a little U-turn. I was like, oh my God, dude. He just killed his own Mason. He just shot him with a grenade. As you can see, this game is before the Vulture model change, so big sad. Vulture is going to get some mines in. It turns out Sausage is the noob, actually, but God, we can't really punish with only 2 Vultures, so it's fine. The noobness will have no consequence. People were talking about the Starpad model in our last game, or our last series as well. I feel like, big noob moment. Noob of God getting absolutely mind dragged by a single Draconin. Unbelievable. But yeah, I think it was cool to see the new Starpad. You know, I'm glad to have it. The old Starpad was just a kit bash of the Starport, and so it looked kind of redundant and a little confusing when you saw them next to each other. The new Starpad is obviously a bit more distinct, but it will also see some adjustments over time. It doesn't use the new, like, grittier lighting setup that Solstice has designed, and it probably needs some material adjustments on top of that anyways. All these mines being detonated. We only have 1 more here. And look at that! Almost a beautiful, well, a very beautiful mine hit anyway, but almost extra beautiful by stunning every single Draconin. Cyclops also came out at a good timing, and the Ministry will begin before Sausage's Nexus. He's still sticking with the 3 Gate, a Warden for Vulture run-bys, and potential drops, which is definitely on the menu. 3 Cyclops getting queued up into that. And we will not have another one anytime soon, so he's going to go with the 3. I guess he has the 4th one here, but he forgot about it. Noob. Vulture is trying their best to dissuade this push, but honestly, Sausage has a critical mass of Draconins. 6 Draconins here. No mines being laid, and the Cyclops not in the anchor is a big whiff, in my opinion, as they have less HP than the Vulture. Big Mason pull because he needs to... Well, all right, maybe not that many Masons pulled. Unnecessary. Attack move on to the Trojan, but Sausage doesn't know about it just yet, I don't think. Just sniping all of the Masons. Actually, Noob should have pulled more Masons. Dropping in frame of the Warden. Wasn't able to unnoob that. Ah, his Ministry's paused. Well, all that, and he killed 1 Scribe, so I guess that's progress. He's actually only down 2 workers. Sausage hasn't been making that many workers, so even though we're kind of memeing on Godweed here, he's not that far behind, and he will have that 2nd Ministry up pretty soon. So mines are really important here. They are going to get laid nice and easy. I don't know. You have to be a little bit... It's a little chancy here to keep doing this when more and more Vultures are on the way. More mines laid sacrificially by that brave Vulture. And it just slows it down a little bit, you know, more Masons being constructed than there are scribes, and so Godwit will actually have the worker advantage here pretty soon. Oh, the anchor's going to finally be busted. Hierophant has arrived as well. Oh, I think Godwit just has narrowly flubbed this one. I don't think he's going to be able to extend play out after all, because he still only has 2 Folk production this entire time. He's going to call GG with inverse caps, and that will wrap up game number 1 in favor of our Protoss player. That's okay, guys. He could still win the next one. Here's how Godwit can still win. Find out after the break. Okay, there's not really much of a break. I'm just going to go right into it after I say buy our merch. Store.cosmonarchy.com. And we're going to Punch Drunk. I'll update the map name in a moment on the screen. We do have the Zinwaldite Brown Terran of Godwit present and accounted for in the bottom left of the map, while Sausage is our Eggshell Blue Protoss in the bottom right, just to prove it. Our Eggshell Blue and Zinwaldite Brown. There you go. I did that without even looking at the screen because that's how good I am. Sausage will go ahead and claim the first victory. Go ahead and bet again if you so desire as to who will take this time around. And yeah, I agree with Marsupial's analysis in the chat. He says, close one, he needed to defend with Cyclops given he was choked on minerals and had 400 Vespine. I think if the Cyclops had been put into the anchor, even though it was only 1, then that would have been good. Obviously, if he hadn't gone for the drop in the star pad and all that, would have been just all right. This is a 4-spawn map, of course. Oh, this isn't actually Punch Drunk. This is Maximus. This is a 4-spawn variant of... it's basically like a refresh of... a refresh of Maxium, which itself is a 4-spawn version of Axiom. And so Maximus comes out and is a lot more trench-oriented. Also, BDB tiles galore. Don't worry, those can get buffed out later. And it looks like the question about cross-spawns is going to cause Sausage to consider going for a cross-spawn scout, but it's actually just the default path thing on this map, I believe. Oh, no, that's not true. You have a much smaller path up there. Oh, lol GG. Canceled my Fulcrum XD LOL. What? I agree. No, don't type it. He's just going to send a Draken and right in, unless he thinks it's a mind game. I'm 3-gate, no units. Just play. Mind elsewhere. He's thinking about what would happen if he was Punch Drunk right now. Instead, he's Maximus. It's okay, Godwit. You have 400 minerals. Just make more Fulcrum. Ho, where is you? Top left. At this point, Sausage just goes scout bottom left immediately. Ministry on the way is a bold choice, but you know what? I'm here for it. He did say he was 3-gate and he wasn't lying. Gonna be Drac spam yet again. Sausage playing a little bit more on the safe side in case all of these lies and trickery and deception extends out further than he believed. Well, at least one mine will get up. All the good that did him. Why does he do that? He's giving him a... He's like, hey, look, I had to cancel a structure too. You know, it's good. Come back here. More stockades. Demurred. What? Is he speaking French? French? All right, anchor on construction. Cyprian, Fulcrum, making vultures. Ah! Needed every single unit. Well, I think I know which way the wind is blowing here for it. No GG. Well, Godwit did add joy to the world and money to the account. So I hope he feels like that was still worth every cent. He canceled his Fulcrum when it was almost done, Shopdog. That's what happened to his units. They never existed. Unlucky. Hilarious, though. All right, we can cast a couple more before I have to pop off here, I think. Merchandise. Store.cosmonarchy.com. How you doing, Lucy? Oh fuck, he's putting the link a few times. Oh, there were some AOT Zeki games as well. Man. Holy shit, ranked Path of Destruction. I can only imagine. Glad you're doing all right. Yeah, I just pulled them from Replay Kraken, so I haven't seen any others recently, I don't think, between you two. There's a Smarty Cakes SG game that was posted. I guess I could cast that one. That one's validated, so it won't break, unlike the Vilius one. I still give Vilius the win there, though. Don't worry. Ranked, by the way. I've been meaning to check in on how SG is doing. Because I feel like by now he must be playing pretty well. I believe that was a Near Impact game, if I'm not mistaken. Near Impact is indeed what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another Cosmonarchy cast. Smarty Cakes taking on SGZZ. And all I can say is, hell yeah, brothers, because SG is our... I guess our biggest Spanish-speaking influencer for Cosmonarchy. Shout him out. He's on TikTok. He's on YouTube. He does casts all the time. Big long ones, too. If you really like, hour-long videos, he's got a lot of those. Going through a ton of it, matches. He streams all the time. Playing some of the single-player stuff. Playing some 1v1s. Playing some UMS. He's in the bottom right as our fourth screen. Terran going for a stockade pretty fast against Smarty Cakes' Larvosk opening. Vivid... No, I'm just going to say Red Zerg, actually. Not Vivid Red this time. And indeed it is. Second stockade pretty fast here for SG, so clearly wants some pressure. No Vespene being harvested in the early game. Probably we'll see a Hurakan open into some Mavericks, but we'll find out. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, whatever day it is when you're watching this. Might be a VOD, you never know. Might be one that gets thrown on the YouTube channel, but we are casting it live on Twitch and YouTube. Of course, you can check us out at all of the links in the description, including our new store page, store.cosmonarchy.com. Can you believe it? We have merch. Marsupial in the chat saying that SG has some good openings, but you've never seen him go to Tier 2. He just wins the game before then. Absolute Chad. Mason moving across the map as the Maverick with its fancy, schmancy, new-looking guy. Ready to go. Upgraded exosuit. No change in the unit, but, you know, that's fine. Will they finally tell us that, you know, it's okay to call it Maverick? We remodeled the Dragoon to be the Drakiden, right? So we can call it Drakiden now, right? I think when you officially have a new model, at that point, surely it becomes fine to call it a new unit. Post in the comments what you think. We can call it a new unit. Once we have a model for it, people will still be angry at us. Probably people will still be angry. Let's be real. It'll be a little bit before we get ministry territory here, but SG is being a little bit of a military cutter right now. He's not actually building many more. Occasional throw down on those extra Mavericks. Oh, I guess I could tell you a little bit about this match. We had SG with an average APM of 165 across this match, and Smarty only with 118. So Zergo P, if he wins, clearly. Anchor on the front lines is a cute move. That's where some of the resources that could have gone into a ministry are instead going into this forward sort of push. Got a Hurakan for armor end. He can put the Mavericks in the anchor. See what else he wants to put together. A third stockade and a star pad. I love this little diagonal he's forming. And one of the only players that does that, but... the Leaning Tower of Ahmed or something. Not quite able to punish the Droleth come down. Could have stimmed after it if he had been a little bit quicker on the ball, but recognized he was missing his timing. The star pad should allow him to do some kind of Antseal thing to... yeah, be in a really nice position here. Smarty going to see if he can break it. The anchor's actually unmanned right now. And the Mavericks do end up stimming in there and clearing most of the initial units. Maybe Smarty should have waited for the extra Quas. He could bust it now because Quas are really good against anchors. They have one armor pen, so they ignore the anchor, and the anchor's one armor, and this ends up being pretty easy for him. Oh, going every tech node. Okay. Den and Shroud on one base. I don't think we feel so good about this, chat. I'm going to be honest. But SG is starting his ministry, so maybe there will be a little bit of a let-up in the pressure, and then the Zerg can just not make military units for a little bit. Quas have always had one armor pen, basically. I think since armor pen was introduced. Looks like a Larvosk number 3 on the way here for Smarty by his den.
The dawn of time.
I guess I really need to pick a unit that has that voice, you know, or like maybe that'll be the advisor that Hamster bountied with his winnings from weekend wages. He wants an advisor that's like the Chaos advisor in Dawn of War 2, where it's just...
you are losing the game.
But with like a little bit of an echo. And I demoed a voice that was kind of like that when I was narrating the Inscription dialogue when playing it with my girlfriend, so... pretty good. Cyprian's here. Not all the Mavericks are stimmed. This could be a breakout. Antseal not in the position to shield the anchor. Whiff from SG, but he's going to just dive forward. He's got the one Cyprian, and the Mavericks stimming. Still keeping everything at an arm's length, and that second anchor is going to come up and make this hold even more difficult. But we got Lakers, Azorius. I would love to see, you know, some Bactals on the high ground, but we're a little bit ways off from that on only one base. The Antseal kind of pushing in and seeing what's going on. Oh, he's going to go for it. Trying to break that one lake is... I guess it was all right, but he lost a lot of guys. That might empower Smarty to push forward. The Zorius will go down easy. Oh, no. The Antseal's already drained of shields, and there's no real further splash damage. The Cyprian left out of the anchor. Reinforcements from the stockades. And now, finally, Smarty will have his natural. Has he shown Den tech? I don't think so, right? It's only the one Zorius and some Lakes. So the Den is still a little bit of a surprise, unless, of course, the Antseal got far enough in to scout it, but I don't think it did. I think it's just out of range. Got to collect all of his units, all of his many men, and see what he wants to do with them, our Terran player in Latin America. I think he's also from Peru, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of Peruvian activity going on in Cosmonarchy. Nicholas, SG, Sausage. Was Ultra also? I think Ultra's Chilean, actually. Ultra's from Chile. A lot of larvae here for Smarty. He made a macro hatch in the main, making one in the natural as well. Feels like a beast waiting to awaken. Especially with that ski-backed finishing. We are going to see some Bactyls for certain. Khaz'Trith for added defense. The Droleth count starting to overtake the Terran Mason count. Yeah, he's been pretty lax on Mason production, hasn't he, SG? I don't know if this kind of signals that he's trying to go for that all-in and he's just spending all of his money on military, but he is also capping his sieve, which kind of points to a longer game. Or at least a little bit of a delayed gratification on the spike of extra Vespine. So 400 minerals in the tank and no Mason production is definitely confusing. He's going to start adding some now, but... even though he's got a little bit of soft contain power going on here, I really don't think this is going to end so well for him. Zerg is growing in power. A very difficult to break position. Claw's watching for drops as the treasury is established at 3 o'clock. And he doesn't have the Masons to transfer over here, so the treasury is even more confusing, especially given his mineral bank. The reason why you would make a treasury is if you've overbuilt Masons this entire time, and you can transfer to saturate another base. But A, this base has a lot of mineral fields, so it would take a while, right? I guess it just has 7. Look more. But it's got the double geyser. Anyway, it's got important nodes. It's an important base to saturate. And B, you don't have an excess of Masons, so it will take a while before that comes online. Another point, though, to be made is that you could put the treasury and build a quarry here and then see if you can't fly some over here for extra Vespine harvesting in the top right. He seems to be gas choked right now with 800 minerals to spare. Smarty is doing all right on the mineral department, you know, for a Zerg player. Could definitely do worse. I like the little creep forward of these Kagrants. And it does look like for a second there he might have been thinking about teching up, but instead he was going to go for the Tethvith Swamp. Bactyl's getting scouted out by the Antseals. Gas cap on the natural for our Zerg player. A lot of idle workers just kind of haphazardly scattered about. Oversaturation on the gas, which is not a negative thing. It's actually, it just means that he's focusing a lot on it. Really getting every single thing he can out of the 2 bases. Seeing what else he wants to do. More Bactyls. Swamp is done, so is he going to take his 1 Core and turn it into a Teth? Yes, he is. And then he's going to... oh, he's got 7. He got 7 more, or 6 more up there. 14 pairs of Rilla Cores. Smarty's prepping a jailbreak here. He's got all of the positions that he needs. All the units in the right spot. The Rilla Cores are loose. I don't think that was a mistake. I think that was deliberate. He's got the Zoryas to extend their lifespan even off the Kagra. Meanwhile, Eidolon's starting to sync up in production, and we do have that 4th base, another treasury, coming online here for the Terran player. But the breakout is going to occur now. Cyprian's doing nice work. Bactyls can't support him. That Zoracor's a little bit too slow. I think the Rilla Cores did slow down a lot of the DPS, and we got more where that came from. Some of these Cyprians on a follow order onto the Shaman, they're not going to be of help. And yeah, the Zora-Cores are going to be able to break out. This is a little bit less cost efficient than I thought it would be for Smarty. I thought he would win more handily. But still, he's going to be able to clear out the decks. And we have Shamans here, but only Mavericks on the follow-up with a couple of Cyprians, and they are not going to be able to do the job. So SG will start to fall back, although he is going to falter on having some of the units. And oh, he's actually up to 5 bases, so even though his Mason production was very much under duress, his expansion amount is pretty good. Oh, nice body block on the Droleth. Can't actually put down the necessary structure there. Oh, and kills another one with this Mason, or this Maverick at the 9 o'clock. Very good. Slows down everything over here for his opponent. But what's his military status like? It doesn't feel like he's scaled up to where he needs to be. Just making Mavericks and a single Eidolon right now. More stockades being added. So he's going up to 9 stockades. Maybe a few more since then, depending on what else he wants to put down in the main base. Barely has any mining happening here at the 5 o'clock as an I0 core arrives. Scouted out the 3 o'clock as well. Knows the location of both of those extra, sort of extra bases. 5 clerics randomly forming a coven over there. And with those Masons evacuating and the Mavericks answering the call, that tells Smarty everything he needs to know about the complexion of this game. And it feels like this tidal wave of Zerg is going to crash upon SG. 104 military units and counting for our Zerg player. A healthy amount of them are Rilla cores, but I think it's only like 15, maybe 16. Clerics are scouting. Okay, interesting choice. So, SG is going to be up against it. A couple Zets maybe heckling the upper right base, but yeah, I think Smarty's realizing, wait, you're sending Masons that direction? I know what that means. At least that one will be cleared, but yeah, this guy's going to take a while to go down. Clerics will be taken out. Some of these are burrowed, others are not, so that's a cute move from Smarty to try to do some more damage later on. I can't believe this one Zeth is still not being killed. Starting to see some Savants added in, but the tech of Smarty is just so much better. His eco is starting to overtake his opponents as well, which, at the start of the containment, or at the end of the containment, I guess, you wouldn't have thought would be super easy. But just like that, he's going to knock out the top right treasury. Not that many Masons over here at the third base. And now the Masons are fighting to try to, rid the fourth of the Zethar cores as, of course, base number 5 falls. This is looking really dire for the Terran, right? Like, Smarty hasn't won the game just because he hasn't attack moved across the map. As soon as that occurs, it's probably going to be a very difficult story. Just more Zethar cores coming on in. You can see he's going to end up catching a couple of these units. Oh, he's not even going to bother. He's just going to go for the workers, it looks like. Confirming that the top right is not occupied any longer. Got some units burrowed out there. I don't think Smarty realizes how far ahead he is. 19 Hydras on production. I think there were some interesting ideas in this game from SG. And, I don't really know what his transition point was, but I liked the containment play. It's just that he didn't really follow it up with much. His worker production was off, for sure. But after all of that, we find ourselves in a really rough situation for the Terran. And Smarty just hasn't won the game because, again, he just hasn't attack moved. He has so much more than his opponent. Armor rend is also reducing the attack speed, so even though the Mavericks don't have an armor to be rended, their stim pack surely doesn't work the same way that it would be hoping. Smarty's still being very timid. His Avaleth is now arriving towards the front to see what he can do about those Eidolons. A couple of other cores getting cleared by the Harakans, but another attack move of Hydra I0 core. Pushing into the 5 o'clock, and the rest of the army is soon to be mulched. Poor guy. Never stood a chance against all that Zerg. Gonna send some reinforcements down here to try to clear up 5 o'clock. Should be possible, but he lost a lot of Masons already. I think Smarty gets into these situations and then he's like, I don't really want the game to end though. I'm having fun. I'm owning. And it's true, he is owning, but he doesn't realize to the degree, I guess. Shaman will deploy, but it's a Pyrrhic one. Despite the Antseal's overshields, they still end up going down. And now a whole horde of Zethicors descends upon the 3 o'clock. It's quite thematic as 2 Hatcherosks are added elsewhere. These Mavericks behind the minerals, it's good cover, but it's not enough. Smarty realizes just how far behind his opponent has been for much of this game, and more Mavericks where that came from. More Maverick corpses where that came from. GG's. SG can't handle it. And Smarty will defeat him. I can't say I'm terribly surprised. But it's good to see Smarty play Zerg, you know what I mean? I was curious as to what he was looking like. And now I know a little bit about him. He can deal with the containment, sort of. Hydra cost adjustment made Bactals a lot cheaper. Hey, thanks, Luciferius. The sound effects are pretty epic. But yeah, I mean, it's not really necessarily a lot cheaper, right? It's just 25 minerals cheaper. But the Bactals did get hit with a pretty heavy attack cooldown nerf. It went from, like, I think 1 and a little bit to 1.5 seconds. So I'm still debating whether to roll some of that back. I think some of it was deserved or like, is fine. It looks like Shopkeeper Dog is playing. I'll cast a live game. Well, it's only right that we see Crisis Vector at least once today. So here we go, boys. A live match. And it's between Shopkeeper Dog and Kutyam Supin. I believe Kutyam is our Russian Green Terran. And Shopkeeper Dog appears to be our... turquoise. Oh, it was Cyan. I thought about Cyan, but the minimap killer threw me off. Cyan Terran. I was very surprised Shopkeeper Dog willingly opted into playing TVT. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. But I haven't seen Shop Dog play in a little bit. Obviously, I did cast one game of him against Ball, but I wanted to see. I want to see him against, against Kutyam, and I'm glad to see his Terran. He is signed up for the Tribunal, so we will be seeing him. I believe right now, as we currently stand, he has a bye. I'm waiting on for a few more hours before I lock the signups. So if you're a Class 1 player, even if you're qualified already to the next Acropolis, you can participate. And maybe, you know, just punish everybody. Knock everybody out. Despite the fact that you're pre-qualified, looking at you, Crankadow. And Aoud, who I think has already left us for now, but that's all right. He did participate in one of them, and won one of them, in fact. Pretty cool. 2 Folk versus 2 Folk here between our 2 Terrans. Kutiam not quite on the list of people who needs to be invited to the next tribunal, but I could see him eventually getting to the point where he has, you know, top of Class 3 status. Yeah, you got the message. Maybe I'll get your sign-up info soon then, since there's not much time left. The most recent player to accept the invite was actually Grass Eater. It looks like Kasuga will not be joining us as top of Class 3. Speaking of, he is actually in the chat right now, Grass Eater. No, the Bactylist model is from Armageddon, I think, or the Crimson Glory. Starcraft 1 sort of a clone, if you will. It is indeed a borrowed model. It's definitely one that we want to change up later. Shopkeeper Dog was trying to slow down the harvesting of resources here. Wooed. All right, dog. Unbelievable. Well, his fulcrum production has been a little bit more steady. This is the kind of territory that you do need to be somewhat crafty about. You know, if Shopdog just moves directly across the map... Oh, his ministry is about the same time. Wow, okay. Well, Kutiam's playing, you know... He's hanging with him. He's hanging with him. Starpad on the way. And a little bit less on the Vulture production, but Mines can play the difference there if there is an attack move out from Shopdog. Question is, what are you going to put inside the Trojan? Because that's presumably what's coming out of the Starpad here. It could be an Ant Seal to try to get your Vultures to fight clearing the other mines, but... Cyclops have started, so that likely answers my curiosity. Oh, Russian green on Terran with the new models looks pretty cool, I think. I like it. Will immediately be the Trojan. Kutiam has enjoyed drops with Terran. I think no matter what his race matchup is, like no matter if he's playing against Terran, Protoss, or Zerg. Soon we'll be able to say Ascozi and add it to the list. Has enough Cyclops for a fully stocked drop. Transferring some workers. He leaves a little bit less than he needs over here. He needs 6 more workers in the main for minerals, but that's all right. Yeah, the Cyclops stance is a little bit wider here on the feet. So it looks a little bit more like it has 110 HP now, which is good because the old one was designed with the previous stats in mind. I'm sure that was a factor in Solstice's choices. Great mine coverage here for Shopdog, but he crucially doesn't have one at 9 o'clock. And it looks like this drop will hug the edge of the map. And where is it earmarked for? Out here. If it unloads here and then marches in, that's pretty good. Obviously, there are some mines placed behind the resources. So, you know, Dog does know where a Terran wants to drop, being a Terran himself. It's a good anti-drop there. I feel like we're going to need to see a lot more Cyclops before we get to a point where before we get to a point where Kutiam is actually in a safe territory here. He has more mines that he can deploy. And there's that third base. Oh, drop it in a very unconventional location. Immediately we see the Mason Pult. I feel like this is the opportunity Kutiam has for some pretty good damage, but at the same time, it was a pretty quick reaction from Shopdog, and his Vultures are screaming back into the base. No Masons have died just yet. Good load time, though. He might not have taken any damage on his Cyclops besides what he's taken from Splash in the first place. 2 Blackjacks on the way to try to shoot this out of the sky. Kutiam at least being annoying. We should probably have a Watchdog somewhere. Mason Pull a little bit slow this time around. Ends up getting away with a little bit. Oh yeah, that should be money, but oh, just barely not. And only loads 1 Cyclops away after all that. So pretty close to getting a lot of damage. You can see a lot of those health bars are pretty low. But not quite enough. Now that being said, Kutiam does have a ton of Cyclops behind this. And Seals as well. When he corrects his rally, that'll be a good time. And a Palladium underway. worker count is exactly the same. And Kutiam is not making any more Masons at the time, so Shopdog will overtake him. But a little bit of buffer room brought as a result of that. Double Stockade. Covenant. Whoa! Okay, Shopdog knows I'm watching, so he's going to do something a little bit different. What it seems like to me. 5 Folk. Kutiam moving out with a Wraith and 2 Ancials, with 2 more in production. Or at least 1 in production, 1 queued up. Mine coverage okay for him. He's got Vultures out pretty far as well. The Wounded Blackjack just left off to his own devices, and the Scrapyard here is... It's going to be Blackjack Eidolon. That's what it looks like to me. Of course, with more Hurricanes as well in tow with the extra stockades that are coming up here. But he didn't really take too much damage from the drop. It was some lost mining time more than it was the worker kills. That Vulture still had 2 mines in it. The Wraith will be shot down pretty quickly there. Blackjacks and Wraiths both got model adjustments, rendering adjustments. More than model adjustments. I don't think the same has been true of the... Yeah, I think you guys can tell, actually, that the damaged version did not receive those changes. We'll see if Solstice feels like mirroring them over or just building off of the... It's probably a little bit more efficient to just duplicate the current one and then darken the materials. Anciel did get retouched up as well, although I still think it's a little bit hazy. So that'll need some adjustments later. But we're working on it, guys. We're working on it, making sure it's happening. Triple Phalanx coming out for Kutiam, and he will be pushing forward here with that. $22 Blackjacks. We do have Eidolons. The Ancials are here to detect. Kutiam might actually make something happen here, you know? It's a little unthinkable because this is like a C1 versus C3 fight. Get the 1 Valkyrie here as well, in case there's a Wraith stack. And it'll help versus the Ancials. The Phalanxes will shoo him off initially. He's making a lot of Valkyries. I think Valk must be like anti-Ancial tech or something. Plus, they're tanky enough that you can, you know, shirk off the Cyclops shells. If Kutiam hasn't seen that before, then he's not going to bother preparing Goliaths or anything. And we have double Ancial back at home as well. Oh, yeah, the Valkyrie was kind of sharking in, looking to deal some Ancial damage, it looks like. Maybe some friendly fire. Not a bad shout there. Going to commit to the fight despite it. Ancial's getting shellacked. But the Phalanxes are doing so much work to the Blackjacks, and I guess as that shaft gets traded out, it's easy enough for the Eidolons to start slinking away. Still revealing more where that came from, and you can tell that the Eidolons have a particular target in mind. That Ancial almost going down, but shielded by its next closest of kin. More Valkyries where that came from. 3 of them will be on the field soon, and we will have more and more Blackjacks, more and more Eidolons. The Eidolon count hasn't actually been managed at all yet by Kutiam's forces. He's making a lot of Phalanxes, and you can use tank mode Phalanxes in TVT. It's just not something that people have tried that much of. So focusing down those Phalanxes as the... Oh yeah, the Ancials are going to have to run for it as the Valkyries are bringing them down. And, well, they fly right back in, but unshielded this time. Eidolons will make a meal out of them, it feels like. Cycling back, should finish that last detector off, and just like that, we have invisible targets. How can you possibly deal with it now? Matadors maybe giving up the ghost a little bit. Ooh, a couple of them getting shellacked there. But then there's the Rego, the Recloak, and yeah, this is what I mean. Tank mode Phalanx are still kind of deadly, right? There's no chaff here, so it could be kind of dire. Oh man, he's really going for it with the tank mode Phalanxes. If he just A-moves with everything, he might still be able to make it happen. Down goes some of the Eidolons, resetting the count quite a bit, and deploying the ones in the back. This is honestly not bad from Kutiam. He's making some Goliaths now to try to clear the skies. Valkyries are still going to ensure no Ancials are going to get very far here. It's not over for Dog. Not really over for either player. No third base for our Terran competitors just yet. He's under the pump, but he is starting to add some Matadors. I think if he hadn't lost those early Matadors, if he had actually sent them after the Phalanxes in Siege mode, it would have been a different story. The Valks can chase those Ancials down. That I really don't think detection is going to come up here for our upstart, our underdog, but he is kind of shellacking the Ministry on the low ground. revealed by the Blackjacks. There was no detection. He's just going to go ahead and shellac, and the Matadors don't get close enough. Now we're going to see that attempt to be done. The Eidolon's falling back, seeing if they can get to some safety. More Matadors where that came from. The Goliaths finally trying to shoo away those Valks so that the Ancials can do something, but no more are on the way. It's just Matador. It's an ugly game, kind of, but it is... What a bizarro game. Just rolling the tanks up and deploying in his face. I think Kutiam has done it, dude. It's hard to believe. It is hard to believe. Mavericks are being made now, such as the desperation. Only 3 Eidolons remaining. A couple more coming off the rally. They are on attack move, thankfully. And I don't think they're going to get instantly shellacked. The Goliaths could reveal them. One of them does go down off of a weird move. Now the Mavericks are here to try to stim. Let's see what the DPS looks like. The Mason count falling precipitously. GG is called, and Kutiam will take victory. My guy. My guy. All right, listen. I don't think that's a replicable result because Shopdog was trying out Eidolon, like Blackjack Eidolon versus Terran. But I wasn't expecting Kutiam to be able to respond to that, so... That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. And that's a good way to end the stream, I think. We've been going for a little over 3 hours. Guys, thank you all for your support. I appreciate any and all donations. Obviously, it was Godweed and not Godweed that came through so far today. We obviously have that merch shop out as well, which is very exciting. And I'm glad that there's some opportunities to get you guys some Christmas gifts over time. But yeah. That's the way that the cookie is crumbling so far. I had a really good time casting today with everybody watching. Appreciate it. And yeah, I can't believe that I just watched that happen. But shout out Kutiam. You got your victory versus a class 1. Beautiful. Beautiful. AOT in the chat just at the end there. So, quote unquote, the best man in the world. Well, I don't know about that, but I thank you for the high praise. I will be... coming at you guys, I think tomorrow. I think I can do another stream tomorrow. So we'll see about the timing. Keep watched. It might be a little bit later in the day, or it might be earlier in the day. We'll see. But GG's, I'm out of here.